Welcome to Los Angeles. Over the last 5 seasons, the USC Trojans have become one of the hottest tickets in the entertainment capital of the world. Pete Carroll has led a return to glory of one of college football's most storied programs. This year's Heisman Trophy candidate John David Booty quarterbacks the offense, while a multitude of stars anchor the nation's most talented defense. USC survived last weekend's upsets and still control their fortune in the national championship race. Stanford and head coach Jim Harbaugh are in town today, and the Trojan faithful are ready to greet them. Number 1 USC and Stanford are next on Versus. Not far from Hollywood, California, the Los Angeles Coliseum, where the number 1 Trojans have not lost in 35 games. 2 hours ago, USC head coach Pete Carroll challenged his team.
I just hope we always find that special feeling and that closeness that makes it so special when we come in here. That tightness, that connection between one another that gives us a chance to always play so well here. It's a great celebration again. Let's have a freaking blast today, boys. Everybody ripping, everybody having time of their life playing football the way we love to do it.
It is a perfect day for football in Los Angeles. The number 1 USC Trojans take on the last team to beat them at home, the Stanford Cardinal. Now, last week, USC averted what a number of top 5 teams were not able to do, and that is a loss. Now, they only won by 3 over Washington. What do you think they took away from that?
Well, I think Pete Carroll has a great opportunity here because he called it a sloppy performance, and they were fortunate to win, but he has the advantage of getting his team refocused for the second half of this season.
Well, it's going to be hard for Stanford, of course, but they've got John David Booty is the big man for USC.
And this is the guy that has to play well down the stretch. The passing game hasn't been needed to date. John David Booty has to get in sync with his wide receivers because down the stretch, they're going to need big plays out of the passing game.
Well, Stanford has their hands full today because they are playing without their starting quarterback, T.C. Ostrander. With more on that, here's Lewis Johnson.
Yeah, Ron, it was last Sunday morning, actually. Ostrander having breakfast in a Palo Alto, California restaurant, and he literally fell out of his chair, hit the floor in the throes of a seizure. He was transported to a local hospital. They ran a battery of tests on him. Everything came back negative, and by the end of the day, Ostrander was back in his dorm room with the rest of his teammates. But coaches and trainers decided to hold him out this week sort of as a precautionary measure. And so, Kelly, that really leaves Stanford sort of green at the quarterback's position today.
Yeah, and a great opportunity for Tavita Pritchard. He gets his first start. That's the good news. This is how a career has to start. But the good news, Ron, is you get a play. The bad news, the most talented defense is across from you in USC.
Well, he's got his hands full, but his head coach can feel for him because Jim Harbaugh's first start for the Michigan Wolverines as a quarterback was against the number 1 team in the country, the Miami Hurricanes, in the Orange Bowl. Harbaugh and Michigan came away with the winning. He's hoping it would happen today. Can USC, though, make it 36 consecutive home wins? They take on the Stanford Cardinal live on Versus straight ahead.
Pac-10 football on Versus is brought to you by Farmers Insurance. Call 1-800-FARMERS for an agent near you. And by Jack Link's Beef Jerky. Feed your wild side.
Welcome back to the Los Angeles Coliseum. The Cardinal and the Trojans hooking it up as USC going for their 25th consecutive conference win at home. 35 is the overall. Moments ago, Lewis Johnson had a chance to talk with USC head coach Pete Carroll.
All right. Pete, how did you address the 3 turnovers, the 16 penalties for 161 yards from last week in your prep for Stanford?
I hope really well. We go right back to work doing things that we always do. You know, I'm not going to think that that's something that's a problem for us. We're going to do our work, make sure our focus is on like it's supposed to be and not change what we do. We should come back and play really well in this game.
And, hey, considering your goals and expectations for this team this year, how are these injuries on the offensive line and particularly in the defensive secondary affecting the development of the team?
They're only going to make us stronger. You know, they force us to have to play guys in really featured roles where they're going to be stronger for the rundown the second half of the season. We've always looked at it that way, and the guys that step in have to play like a first-team player.
Pete, thanks and good luck.
All right, see you, Lewis.
And the injury bug really has hit both teams, but for USC, it has really hit them. You can see the players that will not be playing today, and Brian Cushing is expected back in the next couple of weeks. C.J. Gable, he is having season-ending surgery, or had it. He is out for the year. Stephon Johnson, though, that is a big loss, Kelly, offensively.
Yeah, but what Pete Carroll is a master of, Ron, is using an apparent negative situation when we look at that list and saying this is exactly why we recruit the way we do. The next best guy steps up, and maybe he's the next star in this program.
Next man in philosophy. Now let's go to our Under Armour advantage for today.
Well, basically, this is centered mainly on Stanford. It's how Stanford has to do things in order to have a chance to pull the big upset today. Pritchard, the new quarterback, has to have a special day. Everything revolves around him, obviously, on the offensive side. Stanford's D must take the ball away early, often, and continuous to give that young quarterback the short field. And then Stanford also has to have good things happen early. If they can have some good things happen early, they can play with some confidence. Who knows what can happen in this game?
Well, playing against USC as a freshman runs in the family for Tavita Pritchard, because his uncle Jack Thompson, the throwing Samoan, better known as, he played against USC as a freshman. And the head coach, of course, for USC, an outstanding job in his 7th year. Pete Carroll, 3-time Pac-10 Coach of the Year, including this last season. 12 losses in his time here at USC. A total of 51 points, Kelly, only one by more than a touchdown. That is amazing.
Yeah, 12 of the losses came in his first season here. So imagine what's been done in the next 5. I mean, just absolutely the pinnacle of this sport right now goes through LA.
And of course, the head coach for the Stanford Cardinal, Jim Harbaugh. Grew up in Palo Alto, California, went to high school across the street from Stanford. At the time, his dad was an assistant. Of course, a 15-year NFL career, outstanding college career at Michigan. He's in his first season. David Beeler set to kick it away. He'll be kicking against the wind. Kimball and Stewart back to receive for Stanford. Now, this is something they struggled with last week against Arizona State. And it's going to be the true freshman, Jeremy Stewart. He's going to wisely take a knee, and Stanford will take over 1st and 10 from their own 20. Stanford's offense, kind of Jim Harbaugh's version of the West Coast, and his quarterback is in the hands, as we mentioned, of Pritchard. Last time he started a game, there were a couple of thousand in the stands, and it was in high school. But what has been impressive this week is the way he's handled the hoopla surrounding starting.
Yeah, and that's the first thing that Harbaugh wants to see, is how this young man responds when he knows he's going to start against really the best team in the country right now. He liked the bounce in his step. He liked his focus in the game plan. So we'll see what this young man can do today.
And they'll hand it to Kimball, tries the right side, maybe picks up a yard on the play. The skill position players for Stanford, they have tall, physical receivers. Bradford's the best route runner. However, Evan Moore, he has to use that 6'7" frame to his advantage today. And the offensive line, much improved from last year. Their blocking last season was anemic. Better this year. Brewer and Matron are the only seniors. Marasek and Kimball now in the backfield behind Pritchard. They want to keep it simple for Pritchard, get him in some type of rhythm. 3-step drop, look in, intended for Evan Moore off his hands. USC defense, they don't give you much air, and it starts with the line. They're dubbed the Creatures. Jackson and Ellis were both all Pac-10. Linebacker spot, as we mentioned, Brian Cushing still out, but the core still outstanding with Rivers, Malaluga, and Williams. Secondary a bit banged up at cornerback, but the safeties are strong with Mays and Ellison. 3rd down. We'll call it 9. Evan Moore to the near side. Pritchard has only thrown 2 passes this year, 3 in his collegiate career. Scrambling, tripped up, goes down to the 16. That's an indication of this USC defense. Ray Malaluga with the stop. The junior out of Eureka, California.
And Ron, it didn't take long to see how USC is going to get after this young quarterback. One defender from USC was deeper than 9 yards. Everyone else was within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage. They're going to get after this young quarterback early.
Well, they're going to count that as a sack, and they're going to have to kick it away. Out of Eggio, the senior out of Coral Springs, Florida, standing on his 3-yard line. It's a high spiraling kick. Back at the 38-yard line, penalty flag goes down. And so does Desmond Reed. 44 yards on the kick, no return. But easily USC having outstanding field position, no matter what. Referee today, Michael Batlin.
Illegal block in the back. Number 28 on the receiving team. That's a 10-yard penalty. First down.
You know, Ron, with all things considered, that's not a bad first series for Pritchard. You know, allow him to get in the game and get settled down a little bit. As we can see John David Booty coming onto the field. And we talked about John David Booty at the top. He's very efficient. He's a good manager. But I think down the stretch, USC is going to need more productivity, especially in the big play department, out of that quarterback position.
16 penalties last week against USC. They wanted no penalties today, and that's already gone to the wayside. Washington, they swing it out to the far side to Patrick Turner. Tripped up after he goes over the 40-yard line. USC backs and receivers. A lot of talk about tailback, but we want you to watch the guy who just made the catch, the 6'5 junior Patrick Turner. He's really starting to come on. The line lost 2 starters on 1 play last week. Spanos now moves to center. Malu and Heber will man the right guard spot, with Heber getting the start. There's a good look at Patrick Turner. The coach is so high on this young man. Avili and Washington in the I formation. Washington got the first down and a couple to spare, up over the 40 to the 42-yard line. Stanford defense, they're giving up 450 yards a game. The line of Lorig, Horn, Griffin, and Egbo. Linebackers Maynor and Snyder. Those are the guys that can really lower the lumber and make big plays from that linebacker spot. And in the secondary, they have to rely on the safeties to play the run, so pressure's really going to be on Bo McNally and Austin Yancey. Joe McKnight has checked into the tailback spot. He's an electrifying young player. Booty's pass is batted down by Udofia. This is something that John David Booty had problems with last year, Kelly, and they were afraid that this year again, he was still having problems with passes being knocked down.
Well, Udofia plays that defensive end and had contain on the boot. John David Booty was trying to get outside. That isn't exactly where Booty's had the problem. It's been at the line of scrimmage, getting him balls batted down, just forward passes. That was a little bit different on that play.
Second down and 10. This is the situation you want to get USC in. They try to take advantage of. Big hit at the 45-yard line. Lowering the boom was Tim Sims, that cornerback. Watch this hit, though.
Tim Sims is really a late add to the starting lineup in there for Nick Sanchez. And he's a physical corner at almost 200 pounds, and you can see it right there. He's not bashful about run support.
Third down and 8. Stanford looking for a stop. Desmond Reed now at the tailback spot. They continue to alternate players. Booty, straight drop, no pressure, plenty of time over the middle. Has Turner wide open, he drops it. Booty had all day. Turner had a chance to look the ball in, wasn't able to do it.
Well, tremendous protection. Stanford needs to get after Booty, but this is Turner. He's running a dig route against a zone pressure. He finds the void, but he doesn't do the little thing. Finish the play at the end. Turner has had drops this year, particularly early in the year against Nebraska.
This is going to be a short kick. Chris Hobbs will let it roll out of bounds. Stanford, outstanding stop defensively. That's something they wanted to do, and they get the ball back here in the first. First half of ball games this year have been kind of the Stanford Cardinal. They've only been outscored by a total of 9 points. It's the second half where they have some problems, but they feel if they can stay close for the half, who knows what could possibly happen. Welcome back to the Coliseum in Los Angeles. Stanford with their second offensive possession of the afternoon. Two tight end situation. Evan Moore goes in motion. They want to establish the run. USC feels if you can take away the run, you put the pressure on the young freshman or the young sophomore.
Yeah, there's the chess match. What Jim Harbaugh is trying to do at Stanford is get a culture of a very physical run game, a lot out of the I formation, and just bang at the defense, and then it's play action pass, a short controlled passing game. But obviously Pete Carroll knows that on the other side of the ball as well.
Now USC with everybody but 2 on the line of scrimmage. Kimball tries to go outside, cuts it back up to the 28-yard line. Pickup of maybe 3. We've got a little pushing and shoving going on.
But Ron, this is where Tavita Pritchard is going to have to get it done today. It's in the 3rd and 6+ situations where the defense really has the upper hand. And last time they were in this situation, Pete Carroll brought the house, and you can expect probably the same thing right here.
Playing the defense of USC, you never know when and where they're blitzing from, but it looks like they're coming big. Stanford only 28% on 3rd down this year. This might be a free play. Pritchard steps up in the pocket, goes deep, overthrown, but we have penalty flags down. Intended for Bradford, Mosique McCurtis on the coverage. You know, we saw last week where Washington used a cadence to draw USC offsides a number of times defensively. Let's listen in.
Offsides on the defense, number 96. 5-yard penalty, remains 3rd down.
You can almost use their quickness against them.
Exactly, and that's what you do against a very aggressive defense that has a high motor really at every position. Lawrence Jackson jumped off sides, but what I like is Pritchard using the snap count.
Yes.
That's really a hard part of the game. He has so much on his plate. That generally isn't something that the young quarterback is thinking about early in a big game.
3rd down and 3. Crowd getting a little antsy. Dre in motion, back to Kimball. Tries to get up to the 35-yard line, does. He will be short of the 1st down, it looks like, by about a foot.
Not real unexpected at this point in time what Stanford's doing offensively. Playing it close to the vest, very conservative. Run the ball, try to eke out a 1st down, keep the chains moving, but do not put your young quarterback Pritchard in a bad situation early.
Well, looks from here, they are just a bit short. The tip of the ball may be right there.
I'd say he's about a half a yard short from that original spot, it seemed like.
Yeah.
Woo, but you're right.
Just the tip.
The tip. You're right on the money, partner.
Boy, I tell you, I got lucky on that one. Well, the fans didn't like it, but it's a 1st down for Jim Harbaugh and company. You know, talking to him on Wednesday, very, very confident. And that was one of his characteristics as a player, that he's translated it over to being a coach.
Yeah, and he's trying to translate it over to his football team. It's his personality, and it's exactly what this Stanford football program needs at this point in time.
Well, so far, they've been putting Pritchard in a position to succeed. He's thrown only 1 pass. This will be his 2nd. Looking at the deep out, complete, caught. Inside the 50 to the 48-yard line, Richard Sherman, the sophomore from Compton, California, Dominguez High School.
Nice ball handling. The play action pass right into the mouth of the blitz. Right there is Kerry Harris. But the finesse pass over the short defender, but he still had to drive it enough where the deep defender didn't get in there. I like what I'm seeing right now out of this young QB.
I'll tell you, he threw that with confidence because that was a deep out. Pickup of 18 on the play, and Stanford in USC territory. Jeremy Stewart now the running back. He'll try the left side, nothing doing. USC stacking them up right at the line of scrimmage. Charge was led by Keith Rivers, one of the outstanding linebackers. Now we talked about Pritchard. Back in 1975, the throwing Samoan, his Uncle Jack. Outstanding job, left NCAA football as the top-rated passer. They asked him, what advice would you give your young nephew? He said, work on sliding. Jokingly, of course.
Jack Thompson obviously very wise as well.
Yeah. Jack's watching, we understand, up in Pullman, Washington. So far, nephew's doing well, Jack. This time he tucks it. Picks up about 1.5 yards on the play. Thomas Williams with his first stop of the afternoon. Williams taking the place of Brian Cushing.
That's a new wrinkle right there, Ron. Going to Pritchard's athleticism, really a better athlete than TC Ostrander is, and they will try to get that into the game plan. A quarterback draw. They've already tried to move the pocket a little bit, which is also essential against USC. You do not want your quarterback to always be in the same place.
TC has a better arm, but they feel that young Pritchard has more athletic ability. Straight drop, here comes 6 of them. Pritchard going up top, looking up into the sun. Incomplete is Evan Moore. That's a tough catch. He was looking over his shoulder. And that'll bring up a 4th down situation.
Well, that's a ball where Pritchard just has to have time with Evan Moore. That's one of those throws where the defender is outside and you have a safety on the hash. You have to drive that ball in there, and you have to have confidence that your receiver is going to make a play at the other end.
A lot of Eggio's first kick was 45 yards. This ball's on about the 45. Reed standing on his 10-yard line. Tries to hang this one up. It's going to hit at the 4 into the end zone. Officially a 44-yard kick. We are scoreless in the first with USC and #1 team in the country.
It's now time.
Tavita Pritchard on the phone, talking upstairs to the coordinators, try to see what they're going to be doing next series. USC takes over, 1st and 10, their own 20-yard line. Running back was a strong point for this team. At one time, 10 running backs on the roster. They wanted 2 to come out of the pack. Injuries and a couple of other things have sort of whittled that number down. We'll see Washington, Reed, and McKnight probably today. Washington in now. He has the pigskin. Cuts inside, picks up 4 before he's submarined by Nick Sanchez going underneath. The senior from Belglade, Florida. Been hampered by some injuries. Didn't get the start today. Sims did. Good look at Chauncey Washington. 3rd consecutive start. They call him the bruiser and the pounder.
Yeah. If you think back to when USC ran the football well, they're doing a pretty good job this year. They didn't last year, but in 05 with Bush as the speed guy and White as the pounder, that's what USC is trying to find right now. Who's the pounder? Who's our speed guy?
Fidel Hazelton in motion. Booty looking left. Over the middle, wide open. Fred Davis, the tight end. A lot of running room. Needs one more block. Doesn't get it. Tripped up out of bounds. What a pass, catch, and run from Booty to Davis. 56 yards on the reception.
Stanford likes to bring pressure, and they're doing it right here. A great outlet against the pressure look is to find the big tight end. You can see the crossing route. And then Davis, remember, Ron, Davis has wide receiver type skills in that big body at 6'4", 250 pounds.
He was a wide receiver in 2004. Prior to 05, never played with his hand on the ground.
He outgrew the position.
Yeah.
But what a great weapon to have.
And that gives the Trojans 1st and 10 on the 20-yard line. Booty again dropped at the 2-yard line. Pass intended for Patrick Turner. That's his 2nd drop. Osai on the coverage. Well, here's our Farmers Insurance red zone. You can see what USC has done inside the red zone. 89% scoring, 71% have been touchdowns.
Yeah, that's what you look at. It's how many times you get down there because you're moving the ball. But then the percentage of touchdowns, 71% is absolutely outstanding.
Any coach in America will take that. 2nd down and 10 from the 20. Washington bowling his way down to about the 16, maybe 17-yard line. Pat Maynard making the stop, the junior from Jupiter, Florida, from that linebacker position.
Ron, Stanford has, early in games this year, they've held up well on the defensive side early in ball games, and they've been very good in the red zone early in ball games. Even when they allowed the offense to drive the football, they've been successful at keeping them out of the end zone, but they've been worn down in the second half a lot of times.
We saw Arizona State have to settle for a couple of field goals last week after big plays. Desmond Reed now to the right of Booty. Booty, the quick look in. Incomplete. The 3rd drop of the evening. David Osbury Didn't look like it was a well-thrown pass, though, Kelly.
No, I don't call that a drop. I call it a poor throw by Booty. It's a quick slant. It's way behind him, not even really on the back hip. And Osbury did a good job just to get a hand on it. But that's the timing that we're talking about, Ron, in the passing game. That has to get better, particularly between Booty and the guys outside.
Well, David Beeler is going to be attempting a 34-yard field goal. Ironically, two of his uncles played at Stanford. Ball down, kick. And USC, the top team in the country, the first to draw a little blood. 3-0. Beeler with the field goal. He is now 6 of 7 on the year. Stay tuned for the Aflac Home versus Away Trivia Challenge and your chance to win a plasma television and the grand prize trip to the Hula Bowl in Hawaii. Last week's winner, congratulations, Arthur Lee, College Station, Texas, and Nathan Allen from Atlanta, Georgia. Of course, we'll have the question coming up a little bit later, and you too can play.
We challenged them last week.
Oh, yeah.
That was a difficult question. We'll see if the people are on board today.
This one's good.
But we're not after good, we're after challenging. We need to challenge these people, test their football IQ.
Well, Pritchard getting ready for his third series.
Yeah, and you can the third series, those butterflies that were the size of, Boeing 747 have shrunk a little bit. And so it's now time to let this young man experience the offense. Throw some things out there. Let him see if he can make some plays. He's handling things pretty well thus far.
Well, they weren't going to slim down the playbook at all for him. Jim Harbaugh saying, listen, he's been practicing, although his repetition's not anywhere near what TC Ostrander has gotten. But he said, we're going to let him just go out there, and we don't want to restrict him.
Yeah, and Harbaugh liked this young man's response early. When they started putting the game plan in, he was all over it.
This is going to be Stewart right at the goal line. Taking a couple of hits as he crosses the 15 up to the 16-yard line. Next Saturday on Versus at 7 o'clock Eastern, National Powerhouse, number 3 Cal will take on Oregon State. Led by the big three of Deshaun Jackson, Justin Forsett, and Nate Longshore. The Bears look to stay on top of the Pac-10 and in line for a national title. Versus college football, it's on next Saturday, 7 o'clock Eastern time.
Now, what a big win for Cal last week, going up to Eugene and beating Oregon. And now Cal has a week off. They don't play this week, so they have time to get healed up a little bit, particularly on their defensive line. They need to get healthy.
So far, USC's been able to take away the run for Stanford. Little play action, faking to Kimball. Pritchard to Ladner. Gets up near the 20-yard line. Pick up a 4 on the play. Kerry Harris on the stop. We are inside the Coliseum in Los Angeles, California. An absolutely perfect afternoon in October. A crowd of about 90,000 on hand for the number 1 team in the country, the Trojans of USC, along with Kelly Stauffer, Lewis Johnson. I'm Ron Thulin. Last team to beat USC here in the Coliseum, Stanford, back in 2001. Again, that closing defense of USC. Let's check in with Lewis Johnson. Lewis.
Hey, Ron and Kelly. Before the game, I was watching Tavita Pritchard warm up. He looked relaxed, loose, had a smile on his face, and I asked him about coming into the Coliseum. Didn't see any intimidation at all. He said all week long he and TC Ostrander watched film together. He expects Ostrander to help him out a lot during the game, sort of come up and give him that confidence, give him those nuggets to help him through the game. But the kid even looked relaxed in these early series, slapping hands with a smile on his face as this game gets underway.
I tell you, he has shown some confidence. TC doing a nice job before the game, just trying to relax him. Third down, they'll keep it on the ground. Taking a big hit as he crosses the 25 up to the 28-yard line. Kimball hit by Harris, but I think Harris probably got the worst of that first hit. Nice job by Kimball.
USC was very impressed with Kimball when they watched him on film. They played against him before. He has speed, but he's a very physical running back as well, and you can see it. The good running backs finish the runs by being the punisher, not the punishee, and that you can see it with Kimball.
He's number 2 in the Pac-10 all-purpose yards. First down, Stanford. Stewart goes right into the pile of USC jerseys. Nothing doing. You know, you look at this Stanford run game. This year, it's the most effective run game since 2001. They're up 50 yards a game from 06. They already have 4 rushing touchdowns. They only had 3 in 06. Last year, this run game of Stanford was atrocious.
They were last in the entire country. I believe they were literally last, 119. So they're more effective, and that's the identity that Harbaugh wants this offense to have. A physical run game, and then we build on that.
Well, they're not getting a whole lot today. USC showing blitz, and here they come. Pritchard trips a little bit. Has some time, scrambling. Look out. Takes a hit as he gets over the 30 to the 31-yard line. Mayava coming up to make the stop.
Ron, that's the type of play that is going to define how well Pritchard plays today. It's when the pass breaks down, what kind of decision-making kicks in with this young quarterback. That's a good decision. It kept his team out of a negative play.
Well, but it is 3rd down. We'll call it 7. 2 wide receivers to the right. Dre in motion. USC brings 4. Pritchard flush. Still looking. Has some running room. Trips short of the 1st down. Thought he had it. Kaluka Mayava again coming up to make the stop. I thought he had enough room, Kelly.
Yeah, and that's where you see the speed of USC. Mayava is going to come in late and prevent Pritchard from getting the 1st down, but this is the athleticism. The pass breaks down, and then what is the decision-making process of a quarterback that hasn't been out there very often? So far, so good.
Well, that's one of the things USC's defense wanted to do. Stop the run, put the pressure on the young man. Veggio again, back to kick. 45-44, his first 2 kicks, and this is another dandy. Reed back to the 20, looking up into the sun. Skips over some blocks. Penalty flag is thrown. Veggio making the stop. But we have a penalty flag back at the 35-yard line. 44 on the kick, 27 on the return.
Ron, this is one of the things that Pete Carroll talked to us about. He wanted his team to play a clean, complete game, and we're not seeing it so far. The offense has been erratic in the passing game, which they have been most of the season, and then it's penalties.
Hold. Number 83 on the return team. 10-yard penalty. 1st down.
You know, it's a 4th penalty, 3rd penalty today. They had 16 last week, 9 just on the offensive line.
Well, we talked about the Washington game that USC won by 3. Here are the problems they had in that contest.
Yeah, I mean, that speaks for itself. The penalties, we're seeing them today. No turnovers yet. The block punt, missed field goal, the injuries. That's what's prevented this team from getting untracked.
Here's McKnight caught behind the line of scrimmage, and he is going to be dropped. Eric Lorig coming up from that defensive end spot, the sophomore from Rolling Hills, California, the converted tight end. And Pete Carroll is probably wondering what is going on. They thought they had a good week of practice. They addressed the problems. This is a team that doesn't make excuses. They don't whine. They just fix things. But I think he's got to be a little disappointed so far in his offense.
Yeah, and the term I put is they just haven't gotten untracked. They're stumbling around, and it's going to cost them. It didn't last week. It may going forward if it continues.
Chauncey Washington checking in at the tailback spot. They bring 5. Davis sidesteps the first wave. Gets up to the 22-yard line. Pick up a 5 on the play. Fred Davis is such a mismatch, and you have to go back to 2005 because Dominic Byrd at the time was the tight end for the Trojans.
Good
superstar, and all of a sudden he takes over that starting position from him.
Yeah, and Davis has the skills to, just like on that play, they put him out wide and create an instant mismatch when he's on a defensive back. I mean, and McNally found it on that play. McNally came up and tried to tackle him with his head down, and Davis just quickly stepped right around him.
Alternating tailbacks continue. Reed now in. He's the safety valve. Booty's pass, caught, dropped. Bobbled again. Vidal Hazelton. They're just not holding on to the ball, too. We've already seen Turner drop one. Osbury's dropped one.
And that wasn't a great pass, but it's certainly a catchable pass. Hazelton is 6'3", 210 pounds. That is simply just reach up and snatch the football.
Quarterback saying it's a catchable ball. We'll say it every time, my friends. The end over end kick. And they're just going to know they're going to pick it up at the 35-yard line. Hobbs still on his feet to the 40, down to the 39-yard line. Well, TC Ostrander is not playing, but he is cheering, and he's standing next to our Lewis Johnson now. Lewis.
All right, Ron, thanks so much. Well, TC, the first question, and most important, how you feeling now?
I mean, health-wise, I feel 100%. I should be coming back next week for practice. The only part that's hard is I can't be out there then.
Hey, go back to Sunday. Any idea what happened with the seizure?
Well, the doctors have said that they think it was a combination of things. You know, a lack of sleep, some different medication I was taking after the game that I hadn't taken before, and maybe getting dinged a couple times. Just kind of all came together to cause it.
And we're watching your replacement, Pritchard, out there getting a big start in a big game. How have you been helping him all week? And we've been watching it today. They're talking to him. How are you helping him out?
You know, Tavita's got a good attitude, and he works real hard. There's not a whole lot I need to say to him to get him prepared. And, you know, I think he's a pretty calm guy naturally. So he's coming in here. He's relishing this opportunity. I'm just trying to help him out as much as I can.
All right, buddy. Good well.
Appreciate it.
Ron?
All right, we hope to see him back on the field. Pritchard, that was a very dangerous pass guy.
Yeah, it was a deep out route, and it was late. And that's a characteristic of a young quarterback playing the position. He has to get that ball out quicker and believe in what he's practiced.
Harris and Kimball now in the I formation. Kimball on a little delay. Penalty flag comes flying in. He gets up over the 40. Back to the original line of scrimmage. Kerry Harris doing a nice job from that cornerback spot. The junior out of California, Notre Dame High School. It's a good look at Harris. He has shoulder pads fit with a special harness because he dislocated his shoulder in the Washington State game. I'll tell you what, it's a real trooper to come back from that. This will be a holding call, by the way.
And he tried to come back actually earlier than they allowed him. He showed up at practice and tried to get out there, and they literally had to run him off.
Number 48 on the offense. 10-yard penalty. Remains second down.
True freshman Owen Marasek, the fullback on the hold. They like this young man, though. So when they first put the tape of him in, not a whole lot of people were recruiting. When they put his tape in, they said he was stoning people, just knocking people over. They loved him.
He just runs around looking for things to run into. I mean, that is exactly what a fullback has to do. You just look for something that's not moving, and you just hit it as square as you can. I mean, he doesn't care if it's a wall or anything.
We'll see scores on the bottom of your screen. A couple of great games today. One upset already. Pritchard keeps it, looking for blocks from his wide receivers, and he gets them. And he takes Uncle Jack's lesson and does it. He slides. Gets back to the original line of scrimmage. Pickup of 10 on the play.
You see, Ron, how Jim Harbaugh, that game plan, is taking advantage of what Pritchard brings to the table that Ostrander really doesn't. Get the quarterback outside the pocket. One way, an additional way to pressure this USC defense.
Do not adjust your screens. That's the score. The #1 team leading Stanford by a field goal. Well, last week was an incredible week in college football. Ask the Sooners, ask a number of teams in the top 25. Had some major upsets. Is this going to be another? We've already had upsets today. Wisconsin being knocked out, Kansas State being upset, Georgia being whacked by Tennessee. 3rd down and 10 for Stanford from the 40-yard line. Pritchard steps up, and the speed shows again. The pocket just collapses on him.
USC is so talented and fast on the line of scrimmage, and Jackson epitomizes that. His quick rush up the field forces Pritchard to step up in the pocket, and then you have 2 defensive tackles that just swallow the quarterback up. I mean, that is exactly how you're supposed to get after the quarterback.
That's the 2nd sack for this USC defense already this afternoon. 9 sacks given up by the Stanford offensive line, and they're going to be forced to kick it away again.
Moyala and Ellis up front. They're great anchors. They're great run stoppers. They are athletic enough to invite the double team, and it allows those defensive ends to get upfield one-on-one and man alive. I'll tell you, especially Lawrence Jackson, one-on-one, I'll take him anytime.
I think he's the best pass rusher in the Pac-10. They're going to take the delay of game penalty to move it back a little bit, give him a shot. Oh, and USC counters it by not taking it.
You got to do that.
Yeah. Out of Eggio, 45, 44, and 44 on his 3 previous punts. So Pete Carroll playing a Little chess game right now.
The chess game permeates this game of football.
Now Adeveggio standing on his 45-yard line. A little bit of pressure. High, straight up kick. Stanford trying to get underneath it, but again, it'll find the end zone. We'll take a timeout. We are in the second quarter. USC leading 3-0. Third straight game for the Cardinal against an undefeated team. It's the fourth game out of the last 5 that Stanford's had to face a top 25 team, and right now they're holding their own against the top team in the country. 3-0. We are in the second quarter. USC with the football and the advantage. We are still waiting for this USC offense to start clicking. Booty, 3 of 8 throwing. Make it 4 of 9. Hazelton cuts inside, and he is up to the 45-yard line. Interesting, as he was running that after that pass, about 4 birds landed right in front of him.
And a nice job, efficient job, but it has to happen more consistently. Hazelton is that guy that they're waiting to kind of emerge, has taken over really the Steve Smith role in this offense, and he's a guy that has to just become overall more consistent.
Now Stanford shows blitz. USC just going to try to run it, bang it up over the 45 to the 47-yard line. Griffin on the first hit. After the first 15 minutes, the leaders for USC, Booty only 3 of 8, 68 yards. You can see Washington, they don't want him to carry 40 times a game. They're going to be seeing a lot of different running backs there. Davis having a big first quarter, as does Ellis on the defensive side.
And Booty, 3 of 8, but 3 of those balls have been dropped.
Yeah.
And then we haven't seen Joe McKnight. He's kind of the Reggie Bush guy they're looking to give a bigger role in this offense. He might be in there right now at that I-back spot.
He is in there. They said he's had a couple of great weeks of practice. They throw it out. Turner. Nice job defensively. Sims coming up to make the stop. That'll bring up a 3rd down situation.
You know, Sims has already demonstrated, Ron, that he can come up and run support. That's his second real physical tackle on run support. What I want to see is, can Sims cover Turner deep? And that's what USC is going to have to prove. They're going to have to prove it today, and they're going to have to prove it the rest of their schedule.
Well, Sims has seen a lot of playing time. USC 0 for 3 on 3rd downs. This is 3rd and 5. Stanford brings 6. Here comes the pressure. Booty's going to go down. Back at the 44-yard line. Coming in was Pat Maynor, the junior out of Jupiter, Florida, with his 3rd sack of the year.
This is what USC has to prove that they have a counter to. When the defense brings pressure, rushing 6, what that translates into is Stanford is saying, we believe we can cover your outside guys man-to-man. Can you do anything about it? USC hasn't done anything about it yet.
Oh, this gets a great bounce. Is it going to stay? No. Barely leaks into the end zone. Nice kick, though, by Greg Boydneck. 56 yards. And that is his long for the 2007 season. Now let's take a look at our Aflac home versus away trivia challenge. Our question is, since the Cardinal beat the Trojans back in September of 01, USC's won 35 consecutive at home. What's the NCAA record for most consecutive home wins? You can text 1, 2, or 3 to 837-787 for your chance to win. Notre Dame, Miami, or Oklahoma are your choices. Have the answer a little bit later on. Pritchard looks, throws out of the flat, caught. What a pass and catch. Ball's on the ground. No, they're saying it's a fumble. And they're giving it to USC. I thought he was sitting on the ground. It was Bradford on the catch. Let's see if that's going to be reviewed.
And Kerry Harris on the very tight coverage. And Pritchard does a nice job getting the ball out on time in rhythm. Yeah, that ball, it looked like he was coming out. You can see the left hand. Right. Watch the left hand right there.
Oh, he was down
before that ball comes out. I think it has a good chance to be overturned.
I think the ball's out there, though.
The question is whether it was a catch at all.
It's probably, now he's got it. Then he loses it.
He had it between his knees, and then he brings it up to his left forearm.
Well, they gave it back to Stanford. The officials corrected it before the replay guy corrected it. So now it's 2nd and 1. It's a right call looking at our replay on that.
Well, I think it could have just as easily been called not a fumble, but an incomplete pass. I think Stanford got the better end of the stick right there.
I think they did too, but they do have the ball. It's 2nd down and short. Jim Harbaugh's got to like what he sees so far. Now watch, they're probably going to review this up top.
Yeah.
It is.
Now they're going to review whether it was a catch at all.
Now see, Stanford should have gotten up to the line and snapped the ball real quickly on 2nd and 1.
Those replay guys are fast and efficient. They're on top of it.
Yeah, every play is replayed and reviewed. We'll take a look at it again.
The question, I don't think, is a fumble, but is it a completion? On the field, it was ended up ruled no fumble, but now the review is going to determine whether it was a catch at all. Right there, it goes between the receiver's knees, Bradford, and then it's transferred to his left forearm.
Well, they're trying to see if it's a completed pass. That's tough, because when you're that slow, you can't tell if he really had possession of it.
When Bradford's backside was about ready to touch the grass, the ball was starting to shake a little bit in the forearm. I do not know that there's enough evidence to reverse it, however. The thing to keep in mind when the review is going on, it's how it's called on the field to begin with. There has to be indisputable video evidence to overturn what the officials originally called.
I'll tell you, lost in all this is the fact that Pritchard was able to thread the needle on Bradford on that play. He was double covered. Gary Harris had decent coverage on him from that cornerback spot.
I think it's going to stand as called on the field.
Now they're still looking at it.
And Stanford needs exactly this kind of thing to fall in their favor. They need every break they can get. They're playing hard. USC has kind of bumbled around and been sloppy once again. Stanford has to take full advantage of it.
Well, one thing that Pete Carroll has worked on the last 2 years, not just this year, but the last 2 years, forcing turnovers. His #1 priority as a defensive coach has been to get turnovers, force them. In 02 to 05, this USC team averaged over 38 turnovers a season. Last year, only 22. This year, only 6. They take Wednesday's practice just to work on turnovers. He said, I'm not sure my guys have the mentality to get turnovers. They're aggressive. That's not the problem.
Yeah, they call it Takeaway Wednesday. And the thing that's interesting is a lot of people have called this USC defense the most, or actually the best defense in the country. And that's disputable, especially if you're an LSU Tiger fan, because that's a pretty special defense.
After review, the ruling on the field is reversed. Incomplete pass. Ball be placed at the 20-yard line. 2nd down. Timer, please reset the clock to 11:44.
You know what's interesting, Ron? Stanford's offense was coming off the field because they thought that meant it goes back to the fumble, but it's not. They're reviewing whether it was a pass completed or not.
Well, we had the trifecta. They overturned the fumble, then they put it back, then they overturned the completion.
The officials on the field overturned the fumble.
Right.
The officials in the booth, the replay officials, overturned the fact that it was actually an incomplete pass.
Now, here's the problem, I think, if you're Stanford right now. We've had about 3 or 4 minute wait. Doesn't seem like a whole lot. But now this young man, Pritchard, Tavita Pritchard's had a chance to think about it. You got to get back in that mentality because you're facing 2nd and long.
Yeah, it definitely changes the mindset when you're 2nd and long versus 2nd and short, obviously. And you're also in a kind of a backed up situation where he has to be careful with the football.
Bradford wide to the right. Will hand it off to Kimball. All you see in that wave, USC jerseys led by Ray Maualuga. He has 6 tackles already.
And Ron, I think Stanford is barking up the wrong tree if they want to get to the edge consistently in this run game. I mean, USC is fast defensively, and I'm not just talking about linebackers and secondary. The defensive tackles flow to the football, and we're in on that play right there.
Stanford 2 of 6 on 3rd down. 3rd and long. Jeremy Stewart now behind Pritchard. USC only rushes 4. Pritchard has pressure, tossed. Pass is incomplete, should have been caught. Nice job defensively by USC. That punishing secondary led by Taylor Mays.
The receiver just needs to catch this clean the first time and then protect himself. You can see Sherman coming in, and then Taylor Mays is very close by.
Well, here's the dangerous situation for Ottaveggio. He's standing at about the 6-yard line. USC backs off on the rush. It's Joe McKnight. He's backing up at the 32-yard line. This young man's got some speed, but he's not going to be able to use it. 47 yards on the kick, 3 on the return. Nice job by Ottaveggio. 3-0 USC leads. They got the guy on the field. Look at that. The official, our timeout coordinator's on the field, guys. Well, back to action. USC keeping it on the ground up to the 40-yard line, running the football. You know, when we were talking to offensive coordinator Steve Sarkisian, we were talking about taking over the entire coordinator's job. Last year sharing it with Lane Kiffin. Now you got to remember, both guys worked under Norm Chow. Kiffin, of course, doing an outstanding job with the Oakland Raiders. You asked him about what type of play caller he is, Kelly.
Yeah, and he's still, I think, sorting that out, but he doesn't think a whole lot has changed. His players know what to expect, but I think he's trying to find a way to utilize his weapons, and I think that's one of the stumbling blocks that we see with this offense right now.
There's the pass and catch for a first down to Patrick Turner. Nick Sanchez on the coverage.
You know, Ron, I think as an offensive coordinator, you have to decide how you're going to attack a defense from week to week. And sometimes you can have almost an indecisiveness because you have so many weapons. You can't get them all into the game plan every week. So what do we do about it? A stable of running backs, but we have to find 2 or 3 that can get done what we want, and then find out 1 or 2 go-to guys in the passing game.
He wants a lot at his disposal, and he has it with this talent. Here's Chauncey Washington. Left side. Big gain on first down, picking up about 8. Coming up from that strong safety spot, Austin Yancey, his first stop of the afternoon.
If we can always go back to the 05 model, because offensively you won't see probably a more efficient offense, at least very often, than that offense from USC. They had Bush that could do a lot of different things in pressure defenses, and then White was the pounder, but they also had different types of receivers that did different things. Booty hasn't really settled into that thus far in this season.
Second down, we'll call it 3. Stanford brings 5. Washington short of the first down. It'll bring up a 3rd down and about 1. We've got a dynamite game going on in the Coliseum in Los Angeles. We are in quarter number 2. USC, the #1 team in the country, trying to avoid what so many have already felt this year. That's the upset. They only lead Stanford by a field goal. Along with Kelly Stofford, Lewis Johnson, I'm Ron Thulin. Pete Carroll, the winningest active Division I coach, seeing his offense struggle a little bit. 2nd down, a 3rd down, and 2. USC yet to convert on 3rd down today. And they're going to get stopped. No, 2nd effort, 3rd effort, 1st down and then some by Stanley Havili.
Well, Havili is the true fullback. 6'1", 225 pounds. You can see just the quick dive. And then Stanford thinks they have him secured, and everyone else kind of loses track of him. But the fullback position in this USC offense is something that was lacking a year ago. They had a lot of injuries there, and when you take the fullback out of what USC wants to do, they were very inefficient from that point forward.
Well, Havili broke his fibula last year. Little play action pass. Booty looking for Turner. Has him. Pass caught inside the 10 to the 5, reaching for the pylon. Touchdown, Trojans.
I think they're going to call him out at about the 1.5-yard line. At least the line judge seems to be marking it there.
Well, one official put the hands up, but you're right, the line judge is saying no, he's out at the 1.5.
The Turner's going to come all the way across the formation in what they call an over route. Makes a great catch, which he hasn't been consistently doing, and then it's just athleticism, the size and speed to try to take it all the way into the end zone. But the most important thing, he finished the play, Ron. He hasn't done that consistently in 07.
Pickup of 31 on the play. The longest pass play for USC this year is 35. Now they mark it at about the 2-yard line, just inside the 2. Officials doing a good job working together. Washington in the eye. He has it. Lowers the head, driving the feet. He'll be short of the goal line. Egbo and Maynard coming up to make the stop.
Ron, what USC is looking for is they said in the past that what has happened is they score a couple of touchdowns, they hit a couple of big plays, and it seems to open up the floodgates. And they can continue on that with that momentum. We'll see if this is maybe the start of that very thing.
From the 1, Washington, touchdown USC. Washington's 5th rushing touchdown of the season. And the lead goes to 9-0. Got to be careful with these Trojans. 3 times this year they've had 20 unanswered points, and Egbo gets a hand on the extra point. It is no good.
USC is showing signs of getting this offense going. The play action pass, very well thrown to Turner, makes a nice catch, doesn't quite get it in the end zone, but then in the end, Washington does, cashes it in.
USC's oldest rival is Stanford. 88 games have been played between these two teams, dating back to 1905. USC has won 5 straight, looking to make it 6 in a row after the 64-yard, 8-play drive. About 3.5 minutes. Chauncey Washington capping it off. Even though the score is low, and that may surprise some people, the reality is Stanford has got to do something offensively. You cannot just allow these guys to chip away at you. Line drive kick. That'll go into the end zone, and Stanford, again, not great field position from their own 20. The sports world is about to get a smackdown. 5-time Emmy winner Dennis Miller is coming to Versus. It'll take an uncommon look at everything sports. From Title IX to jacked up athletes, nothing is off limits. Unapologetic, unprecedented, uncompromising, and undeniably Dennis Miller. Sports Unfiltered with Dennis Miller. An all-new series begins November 6th at 10 Eastern, only on Versus.
Monday Night Football,
I love it.
right?
I love it.
Have him in the booth with us from time to time.
I think we should have him. 2 guys from Pittsburgh in the booth. Man, that could be dangerous. Stanford's got just over 7 minutes to try to get something going. Pritchard running for his life. Looking, wisely throws it into the SC bench. That was a heads-up play because he was about to lose about 8.
Ron, we were talking about it at the break. You know, what does Stanford have to do now? Well, the bottom line is, it isn't like they haven't been trying to get things done. I don't think they've been overly protective of the young quarterback Pritchard. I think he's handled himself very well. I think it's just simply a matter of Stanford is not finding anything to do against this USC defense, regardless of who the quarterback is.
Well, guys like Sherman and Bradford, I think, have to get open somehow. The run game hasn't been a whole lot. That's one of their better plays of the afternoon. Kimball again slashing to the left side. Had 100 yards rushing versus Oregon, the first of his career.
This is the thing that has to happen is Kimball has to start getting a little room to move. You can see Stanford, they do a decent job up front of getting a hat on a hat, and then Kimball's that guy that just has to get an extra yard or 2 or 3 here and there in order to give Pritchard a little more opportunity in the passing game.
Third down. Pritchard 0 for his last 4 throwing the football. Moving the pocket, throws for the first down. They've got it. Still on his feet. Nope, they're saying he stepped out of bounds at the 34-yard line is Mark Bradford. Not great speed for Bradford, but he's able to always find the seam.
Yeah, this is play action pass is going on, which we can't see right there in the backfield, but the ball was a little late. Bradford was clear onto the sideline, but that's the type of thing that this offense needs right now. They had a second down run that was pretty productive. It gets you in a third down situation that's more manageable for this young quarterback.
Fresh set of downs for USC. 6:15 to play in the half, trailing 9-0. SC brings 6. Pritchard looking deep. Lofting it up, dropped again. Pass is intended for the true freshman Doug Baldwin out of Gulf Breeze, Florida. That went right through his arms.
And this is the kind of thing that Pritchard needs to have happen in his favor. Baldwin runs a fade, gets pushed to the sideline, and he just needs to look that ball in. Now the safety was coming off the hash, and Taylor Mays, and you obviously don't want to lose track of him at 6'4", 225 pounds, but you have to concentrate on the ball and make a big play for your offensive team.
You got to help the young quarterback. Jeremy Stewart, another true freshman, now in at running back. Second down and 10. Pritchard looking deep down the right sideline. Pass caught. No. Pushed out of bounds. Incomplete, intended for Evan Moore. And we do have a penalty flag. That's back though near the line of scrimmage. And it'll be a holding call against Stanford. Well, he's not afraid to throw the football.
No, and it wasn't a bad throw. It gave his receiver a chance to make a play at the end. It's just a matter of protecting up front, and USC's speed on the defensive line causes a lot of holding penalties.
Well, Evan Moore trying to use that 6'7" frame, the former hoopster for the Stanford basketball
Personal
team.
foul.
Oh.
72 on the offense. Hands to the face. It's a 15-yard penalty. Remains second down.
Well, Brewer is the culprit. That's something that was called on USC last week. Coming up at halftime, it'll be the Nissan halftime watch or Nissan Heisman watch. A look at John David Booty. Highlights and stats all coming up at halftime. We've got some interesting picks for the Heisman.
Interesting. You say that in a good way or a bad way?
One of our guys dropped out because of last night.
Yep.
Second down, 25. 6:01 to play in the half. Safe pass into the flat, incomplete though, intended for Richard Sherman.
Second and 25 after the personal foul to the face is not a very comfortable position for Pritchard to be in. He needs some playmakers. Sherman needs to be one of those guys, but it's hard to make plays when you're behind down in distance against this very talented, athletic team. I mean, USC can bring it at any moment.
Well, they're facing third down and very long. Only successful 3 times on 8 tries. The numbers on young Pritchard.
I would be amazed if it's a throw, a quarterback draw, or a draw to the running back, but don't put your quarterback in trouble right here.
Nope, we have a whistle before the play. Far side of the field.
That ball, delay a game on the offense. 5-yard penalty. Remains third down.
You know, the 3 previous games prior to last week's contest against Arizona State, Jim Harbaugh said that he thought that his team was making progress. He felt after last week the offense did not move forward. He was very disappointed in his offense last week.
And it's hard to move forward when you're breaking in a new quarterback, but the new quarterback that now has to face a 3rd and 30. It's obviously not the way to get it done, but now what do? You ran the draw last time and already showed it to USC. Do you just do it again and hope you can get out of trouble right here?
And now he's got 3 wide receivers, 2 to the left, 1 to the right, and he tucks it. Trying to just get a little bit of running room, able to get up over the 20-yard line to the 21-yard line. Maualuga Harbaugh also coming up on the stop.
And important yards, because the difference right there is your punter doesn't have to stand in the end zone. Before that, he was well into the end zone if Pritchard doesn't have a successful quarterback draw on that play.
Onoveggio averaging 44 yards on his 5 previous punts. He's done a nice job. Desmond Reed moves up to about the 37-yard line looking for the wall. Goes straight ahead. Takes a couple of pops as he crosses the 45 to the 48. 41 yards on the kick, 11 on the return. Nearing halftime, USC still on top. Well, Pete Carroll's defense pitching the shutout. His offense sputtering just a little bit, but they do have the advantage, 9-0. We've got 5 minutes and 6 seconds left before halftime. This is an important defensive series for Stanford. If you have any hope of an upset, they come on the blitz. Booty reads it and overthrows his receiver. Intended for Fred Davis. Lewis Johnson, what's going on with this offensive line of USC?
Well, you know, I've been hanging out behind the bench here, just kind of watching these guys, and all the players have been sort of relaxed. They've been talking about the difficulties they've had moving the ball forward, only 1 for 5 on third downs. And their offensive line coach, Pat Rule, finally got a little animated. He was upset with Zach Harbaugh, number 74, and some mistakes he was making. But Pete Carroll never showed up back there. You can tell that there's a confidence that they'll somehow figure this out.
I tell you, Pat Golden Rule is one of the all-time great offensive line coaches. They want the rock of granite mentality on the offensive line. Booty, he'll be stopped short of the first down by about 2 yards. Pickup of 8 on the play. He had a little bit more confidence in that throw, I think, Kelly.
It was a play-action pass, but what USC likes to do is use formations to create favorable matchups, and that's what they did on that play. With the motion and formation, they created a situation where one receiver ran the corner Sims deep, and the next receiver just set in the flat and gave Booty a very, very defined target to throw at.
Washington, depending on where they mark it, I don't think he got the first down. Chris Horn doing a nice job, the senior out of Dayton, Wyoming.
Ron, this third and close to, looks like about 2 yards, could be very important, especially for Stanford, because Stanford needs to hold USC out of the end zone in this, what may be the last time they get the ball before the half. USC, on the other hand, has to prove they can consistently move the football, and they haven't proved it thus far.
One thing Stanford was aware of is letting John David Booty control the tempo. They haven't done it. A little student body right action. The first down, they've got it. Close to the 40-yard line, Chauncey Washington. They'll mark it at about the 41 maybe. He's got the first down.
USC tried to get right to the line of scrimmage. They just tried to outman him at the point of attack, had a couple of extra blockers, and just tried to get up there and get going and create a soft edge before Stanford could react to it.
Well, one of the guys who had a nice block was wide receiver Brad Walker. They just call him a good football player. He was able to seal off that outside, allowing Washington to get that extra yard. It's a fresh set of downs with 3.5 to play in the half. McKnight now on the backfield. And here is the freshman to the outside, tripped up at the last second. Pickup of 3, but a nice play by Bo McNally, the sophomore out of Salt Lake City. One of the things USC coaches were talking about was Bo McNally. They said this kid's a downhill player.
Yeah, he's a downhill player, and he's a headhunter. And he plays that safety position, and typically Stanford will be in what they call 4-deep shell, and really they have 4 guys deep. But McNally's one of those safeties that's free to roam and run the alley, especially in run support like he did on that play.
Davis and Thompson, 2 tight end situation. McKnight alone in the backfield. Booty to Turner. Tries to get away from the defender to no avail. May have picked up 3 on the play.
But Ron, it's plays just like that. Turner gets a ball out in the flat, and he tries to make a big play. They don't need a big play. They need a first down. That's how offenses move the ball and score points. That's exactly what Steve Sarkisian was talking about, the offensive coordinator. We don't need superhuman effort. We just need you guys to do what you're told and do the right thing consistently well.
3rd down and 4. Hazleton now goes wide to the left. Davis, the tight end, also on the left side. Osbury in motion. This is Ronald Johnson, the true freshman. 1st down and a couple. Dancing around inside the 30, down to the 27-yard line. Ronald Johnson, the freshman from Muskegon, Michigan.
Johnson is that speed guy in this offense. USC is just outflanking Stanford, meaning they're getting more guys at the point of attack. They're able to create a soft edge, and Stanford isn't adjusting well to formations or the motion to create that soft edge. Stanford has to do a better job in that.
They're not finishing plays, and that's one thing that concerns the Stanford coaches. Fresh set of downs inside of 145. Davis goes wide to the right. Booty looks left, pumps, throws, complete. Inside the 10, down to the 9-yard line, Vidal Hazleton. The kid from Staten Island, New York.
This is exactly where USC has to consistently win. It's Hazleton one-on-one against Nick Sanchez, the corner from Stanford. Press coverage, no help deep. Your guy on the offensive wide receiver position has to win that matchup almost every time, and Hazleton did on that play.
Picked up 18. They fake to Washington. Booty keeps it. Complete. Down to the 7-yard line. Stanley Havili. Knocked out of bounds by Austin Yancey. 1:11 to play in the 1st half.
Good change of pace. The fake pitch had a receiver in the flat, but the receiver running along the back of the end zone right there, 48 Brad Walker, was wide open if Booty just would have gone through his progression. You have the guy in the flat, and you know that. But take a peek at the guy coming in the end zone. He's not there. Go to the flat. Maybe a little bit impatient.
Good call on that. Hazleton dancing on the right side. Washington, Havili I formation. Here's Chauncey Washington. Hit right at the line of scrimmage by Pat Maynard. That's his 5th tackle already this afternoon.
Well, Ron, you know what USC needs? They need Reggie Bush type talent to show up. And Joe McKnight is that guy. Now, I know that's a lofty comparison, but what my point is, this is where Reggie Bush comes into the game and absolutely pressures the defense in multiple ways. And in 05, they had that. They haven't had it since. Joe McKnight, even though he's a freshman, needs to have a more integral part in this offense.
Well, USC is going to call the timeout. They want to talk about it. Here's a good look at Joe McKnight right there out of River Ridge, Louisiana. Let's take a look at the Lowe's building toward the BCS. I'll tell you, it is anybody's race still with a lot of football to be played. October 14th, the first BCS ranking will come out. You can see the guys who made the biggest jumps last week. Cal right at the head of the pack.
Yeah, the carnage from last Saturday. Cal took advantage of it. Took care of business up in Oregon. Boston College moving their way up. Kentucky, as you can see at the bottom there, they got beat on Thursday night. And South Florida is still making a statement. LSU has Florida tonight. So there are a lot of things that are still going to be sorted out. The building to the BCS. California's still hanging tight. And obviously USC still hanging tight.
Well, we'll see Cal right here on Versus, 7 o'clock Eastern time next Saturday. This is a long drive for USC. This is the 11th play of the drive, and in that time, Pete Carroll has seen his quarterback, John Booty, go 4 for 5, 32 yards. 3rd down and goal from the 6. Washington lowers the head, close to the goal line. He's going to be short. Clinton Snyder, the linebacker, is the one that really put the first hit out, along with Bo McNally, who's got 5 stops today.
Based on the play call right there by Sarkisian, it probably was predetermined that we would let the clock run down and then probably go for it on 4th down.
Now they're going to call another timeout with 11 seconds left. It'll be 4th down at about the 1-yard line. Now, we talked about Cal. They are currently the number 3 team in the country, 7 o'clock Eastern, right here on Versus. They take on Oregon State. Mike Riley, a winner today, big win over Arizona. You can see Deshaun Jackson, Justin Forsett, and quarterback Nate Longshore. They want to stay on top of the Pac-10 and in line for a national title versus college football. It's on next Saturday, 7 o'clock Eastern time. You talk about exciting players. This guy may be the most exciting player in the country, Deshaun Jackson.
And the thing is, he's getting healthy.
Yeah.
He had a banged-up thumb early in the year. He wasn't himself, and it's interesting. And here's Forsett that can beat you in a lot of ways. There are so many guys. And when we were up there a couple of weeks ago, there were 4 guys on that team averaging over 100 yards individually and all-purpose yards. That equals a lot of pressure on any defense.
3 top 25 teams have lost again today. 3 tight ends now for USC. Davis, Thompson, and McCoy. 4th down and goal from the 1. And the officials come running in. And Stanford calls the timeout.
Stanford, that's their first charge timeout.
This was one of those, kind of like they do in basketball, Ron, on the last second play. They run out onto the field or onto the floor and they call timeout. Once you have a chance to see what they're going to do, that's exactly what Stanford did. Get a look at the personnel grouping USC wanted to use and then call timeout. Now the chess match is USC is probably going to come out with a totally different personnel group to run this play.
Well, if you haven't been watching the Professional Bull Riders on Versus, you don't know what you're missing, which is 2 events left until the World Finals. One of the greatest Cowboys of all time on top of the pack. Not even a separated shoulder has stopped all-time great Justin McBride's record-breaking season. Catch the toughest Cowboys and Bulls who want to wreck them. The PBR from Salt Lake City tomorrow at 8 o'clock Eastern, only on Versus. 4th and goal from the 1. 13 seconds left in the half. Washington, nothing doing. Stanford's going to stop him. What a great effort by the defensive line of Stanford. Jim Harbaugh telling us last week the kids showed toughness when they could have packed it in. This time it's Bo McNally with the first hit from that free safety spot. He says our kids never give up.
And that's the first thing, is consistent effort, and then we can build on that. But look at the penetration right there. There are white hats reestablishing the line of scrimmage, and then obviously Stanford, Jim Harbaugh and the rest of his staff and the rest of his players know that that was a very important play if they have any chance of doing something special on the afternoon.
Talking to Scott Schaefer, the defensive coordinator. He's proud of these kids, the way they've picked up this new system. Richard now, with 5 seconds left, just tries to get out of the shadow of the end zone, and that's the way the first half's going to end. Jim Harbaugh's squad has only given up a touchdown and a field goal to the #1 team in the country, and he is pumped about that.
Well, if you told him before the game, down 9 at halftime to USC, he probably would have said, yeah, I'll take that. Maybe not the way it worked out in his offense doing little to nothing, but he would take it.
Let's go to Lewis and Pete Carroll.
All right, thanks. Pete, how much does that 4th and 1 not making it affect, what you talk about here at halftime, the energy that you're going with?
No, we just didn't make it. I'm not going to worry about that. I'm going to make sure that we come back and play well in the second half. We're playing fine on defense. Offensively, we're just not getting a lot done yet. So we will. We'll get this done. And that one play, I'm not going to make any big deal about it.
And why are you guys struggling to move the ball consistently on offense?
I don't know. We've dropped a couple balls, We had guys open and stuff like that. And we just got to do a little bit better. We'll be all right. Stanford did a nice job down there on the goal line.
All right, thanks, Pete. Ron?
Always confident, Pete Carroll. But it's a big moment for the USC offense and a bigger moment for the Stanford defense. And the reaction from the Stanford Cardinal. But will that be enough to stop the #1 team in the country in the second half? We'll find out. Halftime in Los Angeles, California with USC and Stanford. Coming off a year where he earned all Pac-10 honors, John David Booty set his sights high for 07. He has impressed just about everybody in the conference.
John Brody, David Brody, whatever at SC is a very good player.
One of this year's most talked about Heisman Trophy candidates, John David Booty, continues in a long line of high-profile USC quarterbacks. Booty, a 6'3", 215-pound senior hailing from Shreveport, Louisiana, has been touted as one of the smartest quarterbacks in the country by other coaches in the conference.
He's smart, understands the game, was raised in a football family. Obviously, athletically, he's very good.
He's very smart, makes good decisions. He doesn't turn the football over. He gets them out of bad plays and puts them into good plays.
Others are surprised at his modest gift of agility along with his exceptional decision-making skills, which time and again both fooled the defense.
He's just very efficient when you watch him play. He has command of their offense, doesn't try to force too many things, and he's very composed back there, but he makes very few mistakes.
What makes him effective, he manages their offense very, very well. And he's able to throw the ball and get it to his playmakers. And they're also able to utilize their run game.
With all the talk about Heisman surrounding Booty, Pete Carroll remains confident it won't affect his game plan on the field.
He's been through it. He's watched Matt go through it twice. John David will handle it in great fashion. It won't move him at all. I think he'll be very poised and humble through the process.
As far as the Heisman goes, how often have you struck a pose in the mirror?
Well, it's probably been a couple years. I used to do it when I was young.
Well, when we take a look at our Heisman Trophy watch, Kelly, this is your top 5.
Yeah, and I start with John David Booty because, again, he's a quarterback of the best team in the country, in my opinion. And I think John David Booty is a little underappreciated. When USC needs the passing game, that young man is going to step up. And then we go to Deshaun Jackson. He's getting healthy again, Ron, so watch out the rest of the Pac-10. 11 catches last week against Oregon, and then Colt Brennan is going to continue to put up enormous numbers as he counts down to that date with Boise State for the WAC championship. McFadden, I think, is the best all-around player in all the land, second leading rusher in the country. Arkansas doesn't necessarily team-wise create the context that I like, but Tim Tebow, he really is the offense right now in Florida, and they have a big game tonight against LSU. That's his stage to make a big statement in this race.
This is when the Heisman talk starts heating up. We're at halftime. USC and Stanford will have more halftime activities from the Coliseum in Los Angeles right after this. Despite 222 yards offense in the first half, 6 plays of 10-plus yards in that first half, none via the rush. USC only holding on to a 9-0 lead over the Stanford Cardinal. Along with Kelly Stoffer, I'm Ron Thulin. Stanford has got about 75 yards total offense. How have they stayed in this football game?
USC's offense has allowed them to stay in it, I think. Stanford is playing with passion on both sides of the ball. Their defense is playing well, but USC just absolutely can't be efficient. They're dropping the football, as we see right here. Open receivers put the ball on the ground. All of those catches represent missed opportunities in the passing game. No third down conversions, and then Stanford playing with passion. The big goal line stand, fourth down. The longer Stanford sticks around, the better things are going to go for them. You can see right there, Stanford has done nothing offensively. USC has been inept offensively as well. Look down to the third down conversions. USC 2 for 8. That obviously is not going to get it done.
Now we still have a lot of football left, and the second half of football games this season have been the Achilles heel for Stanford. Can they reverse that? Second half coming up here on Versus.
Pac-10 football on Versus is brought to you by KFC, 11 herbs and spices, world-famous chicken, and so much more.
Moments away from the second half between the top-ranked USC Trojans taking on the Cardinal of Stanford. USC holding on to that 9-0 lead after the first 30 minutes. Let's take a look at the Keystone Light. Always smooth moment of the game. And this was halftime, believe it or not. There is a battle between the USC and Stanford bands. They always face off against each other. They were reenacting the play 25 years ago between Cal and Stanford. That's the actual play on the upper left-hand portion of your screen. The USC rugby team was kind of mimicking it in an awful way, I might add. It was not the smoothest way. But then they also had a fake band. The Leland Stanford Junior University Marching Band came out of the field, even knocked over the trombone player as they were poking fun at the Stanford band, who poked fun at USC during their halftime performance.
There was a lot of fun being poked back and forth, but did you really have to tell them that the real play was in the upper left-hand corner?
I hope not.
I mean, come on.
I hope not. But this is how long it took. It took about, I'd say a half hour longer than the actual play. but it was in the spirit of fun. Needless to say, by the way, on December 1st, you'll be able to see the 25th anniversary of that game even more right here on Versus. Cal taking on Stanford. And there's the trombone player taking the knee.
Good night. Take a knee. He might have a concussion.
It's the always smooth moment of the game. Not the smoothest landing, however, by the trombone player. Second half about to get underway. Stanford is going to kick off since they received the first half kick. How important is it for this Stanford defense coming off that emotional goal line stand? You're going up against an offense that has not clicked anywhere close to all cylinders. And this is an important defensive possession or defensive part for them, isn't it?
Yeah, I think Stanford needs to come out and establish themselves defensively once again. And they don't want to give USC that sense of timing and rhythm that they're lacking right now. So Stanford has to come out defensively and do something that's disruptive and keep USC kind of asleep offensively.
Ronald Johnson, Desmond Reed back. Ronald Johnson says, I think I can break one this week. And here he is. Taking a couple hits right at the 20. Down to the 18. Moment ago, Lewis Johnson spoke with Jim Harbaugh of Stanford.
Hey, Jim, what did that 4th and 1 stop do right at the end of the first half do for you at halftime?
Well, it gave us a lot of momentum. Guys, we're fighting. They're going to continue to fight. We're going to come out the second half like our lives depend on it.
Pritchard 3 for 11, only 29 yards passing. How do you get him going? He's hung in there.
He's playing good. We got to make some plays for him behind him. We got to catch some balls.
All right, thanks.
I'd say intensity with a capital I on Jim Harbaugh.
Unbridled enthusiasm.
Yeah.
He's marketing a program that desperately needs it at this point in time.
He's got people fired up. Little play action to Washington. Booty's pass dropped again. This time by Chauncey Washington. This has been the theme so far in this football game.
Yeah, they're just a little bit off. I mean, that wasn't a great pass, but there was nothing deep. Booty does the right thing, goes to the right guy. Washington on the check down, but it wasn't a very accurate pass, nor was it a very good attempt to catch the football by Washington.
Well, the coaches told us yesterday about timing. They're having some timing problems. Not sure why. They're going to be working on that, obviously. Hazelton in motion. Stanford comes with 5. Moody flushed out of the pocket. Another pass incomplete intended for Patrick Turner, a junior out of Nashville, Tennessee.
Well, that first down incompletion puts USC down behind in the down and distance. And Stanford's MO right now is they went from they're transitioning from a 3-4 defense, and now Scott Schaefer has installed this 4-3 attacking type of defense. Well, in order to attack, you have to be ahead in the down and distance a lot of the times, and they were on that play, and they got pressure after Booty.
Here you see the lack of effort on USC's part on 3rd down. This defense is Stanford, much more aggressive system. Players are starting to grasp it even more so than they did in spring. Booty, quick look in pass, complete, short of the first down, up to about the 27-yard line. Hazelton on the reception, Clinton Snyder on the coverage, his 3rd tackle. Do I hear a little boo birds out there?
You do, no question. This fan base wants to see more out of this offense as well. They're kind of stuttering and stammering around just like they have through the first part of this season.
Stanford putting a little pressure on Woidnick. Here's the punt taken. Hobbs up over the 45, down to the 42-yard line, 32 yards on the kick. We'll call it 18 on the return. Stanford with outstanding field position. Can they take advantage of that? USC had the ball only 45 seconds on that possession and did nothing. They were forced to kick it away, but they still lead at 9-0. Pete Carroll's got to feel a little frustrated. Very pleased with his defense, as he should be, as they held Stanford about 75 yards in the first half. But when does he start getting really concerned about his offense and not clicking? Let's see what Stanford can do offensively.
I think about the time that Stanford is able to do something with the football themselves, Pete Carroll gets a lot more concerned. And right now, it's not the biggest issue as far as the outcome of this particular game, but obviously going forward, USC's offense has to get something done. Now, if Pritchard is more comfortable in the second half and get something going, Jim Harbaugh can loosen things up a little bit. Stanford may have something to say to that here today.
Kimball goes in motion. Pritchard, 3-step drop. The quick pass almost picked off. Keith Rivers had it right in one of his hands, couldn't pull it in. Let's look at it again.
Rivers is going to drop back in coverage and cover the tight end Jim Dre on just a little out route. Does a nice job, not particularly great coverage, but he didn't have to be. Pritchard was high and outside. That's a ball you have to put right on the tight end. But Rivers is a very aggressive guy. Ken Norton Jr., the linebacker coach, wants him to be a little bit more intimidating on the year.
Let's see how many USC bring. They have 6 on the line of scrimmage. Pritchard staring down. Straight drop. Here comes the pressure. Sit down, Mr. Pritchard. Back at the 50-yard line, Kyle Moore leading the charge. The junior out of Kathleen, Georgia, Houston County High School. This young man has a chance to be real good.
Kyle Moore along with Kevin Ellison in the secondary, bringing extra guys to try to get pressure. You can see number 4 is Kevin Ellison. But that's right now what USC has to depend on, a defense that's not going to give this Stanford offense any life whatsoever.
Now Stanford forced to kick it away. Adeveggio's done a nice job this afternoon. This is a high spiraling kick. It's going to be short. Takes a good hop if you're a Stanford fan. And they'll mark it down at about the 18-yard line. 31 yards on the kick. Let's take a look at our KFC student athlete of the game, and this is Chris Horn. How about the senior out of Dayton, Wyoming, an undergraduate and master's degree at the same time, engineering and management science and engineering.
Well,
congratulations to Chris Horn.
The thing that's amazing about that is he's a nose tackle. He's obviously very intelligent. Why do you go in there and get your head beat in play after play? It seems like you would have been a linebacker or something if you're that smart.
2-time first-team Pac-10 academic All-American. USC back on offense. Run game going nowhere. And you can see Taylor Mays coming off the field. Seems to be in pain. That would be a huge loss. Welcome to Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum in Los Angeles, California. Along with Kelly Stoffler and Lewis Johnson, I'm Ron Thulin. #1 team in the country, leading Stanford 9-0. Check that. It looked like Nick Sanchez was coming off the field. Not sure if that's a stinger. Second down and 12. Booty goes back, throws it underneath the coverage to Fred Davis, the tight end. He has been the main receiver today. Pickup of 9 on the play for Davis.
And most of the time, it's been that exact same play. Stanford dropping into a zone, and then the big tight end, Fred Davis, drags underneath. And once he crosses and comes out the other side, Booty's done a nice job of finding him. That's when Stanford doesn't get pressure, and that's why it's very, very important for this Stanford defense to get consistent pressure on John David Booty.
As we mentioned, Pac-10 school record, 35 straight wins at home, 24 in conference play. Herschel Dennis now checks into the backfield. Booty's pass picked off. Could be golden goal post for Yancey. Touchdown, Stanford.
When you allow an underdog to stick around, experience a little bit of confidence, these type of things start to happen. Because they understand that they can make a play or two and be right back in this game.
Right.
Booty was coming late to the fullback, Havili, that time, and it was a very poor decision. You should have gone elsewhere and throw the ball away.
You see about a 32-yard return. Extra point is good. The college football world, will it be shocked again? The #1 team in the country holding on to a 2-point advantage over Stanford. John David Booty with the interception, only his 5th of the year, only the 3rd of the year for the Stanford defense, and it ends up in the hands of Austin Yancey. His first pick of the season, and he takes it to the house, and Pete Carroll's squad now finds themselves only up by 2. Still a lot of time left in this football game, and as we mentioned, this is a USC offense that can put points on in bunches. But John David Booty has to feel a little frustration at this point.
A little frustration, no question about it. When he makes a decent throw, they've had a hard time hanging on to the football. We saw the drops at the halftime highlights, and then And then the quarterback tends to press a little bit and think he has to make a play when there isn't a play there to be made, and it gets you in trouble.
Ronald Johnson, Desmond Reed, standing back at about the 10-yard line. The shadows have covered the field here at USC. This is going to be a short kick. Running up is Johnson. 15-yard line, straight ahead. Up over the 30 to the 35-yard line. That's where they'll mark him out. Let's go back to that interception. Do you put all the blame on John David Booty on
I don't believe I do. This is the fullback right here, Havili. He's going to run a route out of the backfield. But let's watch and see the indecision right here. I believe Havili is supposed to run an angle route inside, but instead he's indecisive. In the end, Booty doesn't know where the fullback's going to go and makes a bad decision. In the end, you're responsible as the quarterback. You have the ball in your hand.
That's right. Herschel Dennis back in the backfield. He'll get his first carry of the evening. Breaks to the outside, gets over the 40 to the 42-yard line. Yancey 4 stops on the night to go along with that interception.
And the fact that Dennis, number 34, is in the game, I think is important as well, because Dennis is one of those seniors that hasn't played a lot. He's been banged up.
Yeah.
But the thing that he is, Ron, is consistent. He's dependable. He does the right thing. He doesn't have the skill set that some of the other guys do right now, but it's a little insight into Sarkisian's mindset right now. He wants a dependable guy holding on to the football.
We've got Turner one-on-one with Osai top of the screen. Moody goes underneath. Pass is caught by Davis. Upended. Ball is loose. They're saying it's an incomplete pass. Nick Sanchez has been very active. Tim Sims got the start at that quarterback position, but Sanchez has done a lot of work today. 5 tackles on the evening.
And Tim Sims was very active when he was in there. Had a couple of very nice plays in run support, and Sanchez has done the same thing. And that's where they have to find Fred Davis dragging underneath, and in that case, he's the outlet receiver on the boot. You have to check that big tight end.
Davis now with 3 receptions. That one incomplete. 3rd down and 5. 11 minutes to play in the 3rd. Stanford jumping around on defense. Booty straight drop. Has some time over the middle. Pass caught at the 50. Inside the 45. Fumble! And I think Stanford's got it. It may be Sanchez, and it is. Davis caught it, could not hang on. And Pete Carroll, the frustration continues.
Well, Davis has obviously become the go-to guy for John David Booty. Right over the ball, nice pass, exactly where it had to be. Bo McNally was on the coverage, but the big body tight end puts his body between the ball and the defender, but then you have to finish the play and hang on to it.
No turnovers in the first half for USC. 2 here already in quarter number 3. And now Stanford takes over. 1st and 10 from the 42-yard line. Kimball, right side, picking up a couple on the play. Thomas Williams coming up from that strong side linebacker spot.
Well, if you're Pete Carroll, you understand this is a game where you have to rely on your defense. Well, the defense needs to do more than just tackle. They need to come up with the takeaway themselves and get the momentum back on the USC sideline.
And we talked about the turnover margin problem that Pete Carroll says we've got to keep working at it. -5 this year. 2nd and 8. Here comes the rush. Pritchard tries to get away, slips 1 tackle. Pass incomplete. Corey Harris on the coverage.
This is what Pritchard brings to the table, is he avoids a negative play and almost comes up with a huge play. Right there, that should be a sack. His athleticism gets him out of it. He tries to make a nice play, throwing to number 45. The fullback right there actually has been late. Ladner, the tight end. But that's exactly what Pritchard has to do. Make plays, make good decisions when the original play breaks down.
More wide to the right. Bradford on the near side. Here comes the blitz. They pick it up. Pritchard hit, dropped. Back at the 36-yard line, Cedric Ellis. His 3rd sack of the evening. This is a guy that was voted the best defensive lineman in the Pac-10 by Pac-10 offensive linemen.
He's a defensive tackle inside, and that's just unfair to have a defensive tackle rushing, and Jim Dre, the tight end, has to come up inside and try to block a 6'2", 305-pound rusher. Not a fair matchup.
Adeveggio is going to need to be iced down after this one. Nothing doing. Great coverage. Desmond Reed had no place to go. Adeveggio does the job again. His team trails by 2. Offensive coordinator Steve Sarkisian telling us yesterday he wants his team more focused. Not the play calling today. It has been maybe a case of focus. Drop balls and a fumble and interception here in quarter number 3. Back to the ground game. A successful ground game. Herschel Dennis exploding over that left side. Crosses the 30-yard line to the 31.5. First run more than 10 yards of the evening for USC.
And Dennis, that experienced senior that comes in, doesn't bring the same explosiveness that a McKnight does or even a Chauncey Washington, but the dependability factor goes way up, and that's what USC needs right here.
That was his longest run of the year. And they go back to the ground game. This time banging in the left side, picking up about 3 on the play.
Ron, what USC likes to do up front, they run the zone running scheme. Inside zone, outside zone. And basically it means that you start with double teams on the line of scrimmage, and the running back has to be patient and has to recognize where the aiming point is. I think the best one in this lineup, this stable of running backs, Sarkisian said, is Herschel Dennis.
Yeah, Joe McKnight, the redshirt freshman, hasn't learned that, or that true freshman hasn't learned that patience yet. Moody rolling out this time, buying some time. Into the flat, pass. Waiting for the officials, they're saying it is complete. Up to the 43-yard line. Hazelton on the reception, Osai on the coverage.
Moving Booty out of the pocket just a little bit so he could see things clearly, and then Hazelton the comeback along the sidelines. And that's where you see that strong arm.
Yeah.
I don't know that that ball was secure in the end. We'll see if this one is stopped to be reviewed further. It doesn't look like it.
No, it doesn't.
USC's on the line to get a playoff.
And they do. Back to Herschel Dennis. Let's go back and see if we can see the feet of Vidal Hazelton.
Well, it's not just the feet, which obviously one foot has to be in, but it's securing the ball as he goes to the ground. And yeah, that's a catch.
Yeah.
That's a nice call by the officials. They had it exactly right on the field.
This young man from New York is showing a great deal of promise, and they said he is only going to get better, and they want him to do it quickly. 2nd and 7. Chauncey Washington back into the lineup. Stanford brings a bundle. Booty reads it. Pass complete. Another first down, USC. Patrick Turner again.
Well, when Stanford brings pressure, it means man-to-man, and Turner has to win right now on Nick Sanchez. Just running the in route, create a little separation, and expect your quarterback to hit you with the football, and then Turner has to finish the play. You know what's interesting, Ron? The stable of receivers, it seems like they can make the difficult catches, but they lose focus on the easy catches, and they have to get better at the easier aspects of this game.
Good block by Chauncey Washington, by the way, on that. Little play action. Booty looking across the middle, going to be dropped back at the 50-yard line. That's something you don't see. Sam Baker, the big left tackle, not being able to control his man. Benel Egbo, the junior out of North Mesquite High School, Mesquite, Texas, outside of Dallas.
And I'm not so sure that I would give Sam Baker that full sack. Egbo actually got a little penetration by just a bull rush, pushing Baker back a little bit, but there was time for Booty to throw that football. Very good coverage in the secondary by Stanford.
2nd down and 18. Stanford already with more sacks this year than they had all of last season. Here comes the pressure again. They try to set up that little slip screen, but Clinton Snyder there, and we have a penalty flag thrown. And I think that's going to be on, it looks like it'll be on Clinton Snyder.
No, I think you're right. And the late hit.
Yeah.
Absolutely, Stanford had the right play called. It was a screen to the side that Snyder came from. He came absolutely crystal clean and hit just a little bit late on Booty.
There is no foul in the play. The play was legal by rule. There was a receiver in the area.
Oh, so it wasn't the late hit all along. It was going to be intentional grounding, but...
Well, Clinton Snyder grabbed his helmet like, oh my goodness, what did I do?
And it happened at the same time that Snyder hit the quarterback booty. But the reason that the flag was thrown was intentional grounding, but it was a screen. Yeah. First of all, Snyder didn't even hit him, so I'm glad that wasn't the call. But the screener, where that pass was supposed to go to, got caught up inside, and that's why the official lost it.
3rd down and 18. Ausberry, the redshirt freshman, wide to the left. 2 wide receivers near side. Stanford shows blitz, but they only bring 4. Booty has time. The deep pass picked off again by Nick Sanchez this time. Booty's 2nd interception of the evening, and the Boo Birds are out at the Coliseum.
And another overthrow, but it's all about the angle that quarterback Booty has to anticipate what angle his receiver is going to come out at. Booty anticipates a receiver going deeper, and you can see number 9 right there. Ausberry breaks it off a little bit. One more example of the receiver and the quarterback absolutely being on the opposite page.
Well, the coach is telling us that David Ausberry, the redshirt freshman, has struggled the last couple of games. They slimmed his package down. It may be slimmed down to nothing after tonight.
The question now becomes, can Pritchard grow up fast enough to take advantage of this enormous opportunity?
No offensive points for Stanford. It came on an interception, run back for a touchdown. Inside of 6.5 to play. Sanchez, oh, we've got penalty. We got a little goofing around, a little chippy down there. We have some penalty flags on. Sanchez doing a nice job this evening.
I think the battle of the number 4 is Kevin Ellison, the safety from, or excuse me, the safety from USC, and Bradford, the wide receiver from Stanford.
Dead ball, personal foul, number 4 in the defense, 15-yard penalty, automatic 1st down.
Yeah, so it looks like Bradford got away or was just the innocent bystander, as they say.
It's generally the last guy that throws the punch.
Lower left portion of your screen here, watch it. There it is right there.
Good job by Bradford not retaliating.
Oh,
Kevin
yeah,
Ellison.
you saw the hand.
Right at the end. 15 yards that the Stanford offense desperately needs against this USC defense.
That's one of the longer games of the evening. Pritchard going deep down the middle for Bradford. It's going to be picked off inside the 20 down at the 18-yard line. Taylor Mays with his first pick of the year.
And Pritchard just getting a little impatient. Taylor Mays is the free safety playing center field. Bradford is running a go route kind of right down the seam. Your go routes have to come up early so the ball can get out there enough. And Pritchard knows it. You throw the ball late, Pritchard's feet was moving it just a little bit. You're generally going to come up short on that deep pass.
So USC dodges the bullet. Nice job by Taylor Mays, the sophomore out of Seattle, Washington. Pac-10 co-freshman of the year last season. 1st and 10, USC. Herschel Dennis getting a lot of work here in quarter number 3. Maybe picking up 1.5 yards on that carry. 5:53 to play in the ball game. Wisconsin upset today. Boston College, no problem with Bowling Green. West Virginia smacking Syracuse. South Florida struggled against Florida Atlantic. They were tied at one point in that ball game. What a battle at the Cotton Bowl in Dallas. Sooners finally pull it out by 7. Texas now 0-2 in the Big 12. 2nd down and 8 for the Trojans. Dennis hops over one blocker up to the 23-yard line. Pick up a 3 on the play. Quentin Snyder, 5 tackles on the evening.
Defensive coordinator Scott Schaefer for Stanford has to be absolutely ecstatic the way his team is playing. They're doing a nice job in this, what he refers to as an attack. They're getting pressure. They're staying with what you call a good fit in the running game. They're staying gap security first and then make a play on the ball carrier.
3rd down and 3. Inside of 5 minutes left in the 3rd. Stanford shows blitz. Booty just floats it out to the flat to Desmond Reed. He's got the 1st down. It'll be close. close, but I think they're marking it just a shade past the first down marker.
Well, this is one of the ways to regulate the blitz, throw over top of it. Normally, Reed would be in picking up that blitzer, but a change up by USC. Free release the running back and drop it over the top.
Nice job by Udofia on the blitz from that left defensive end spot, but it's a first down for the Trojans.
Can the Trojans be efficient enough to move the ball consistently enough play after play to get points? That's the question mark that still overrides this offensive team.
Washington looking for some running room. Tries to split the gap, nothing doing. Got back to the line of scrimmage. Redshirt freshman Nick Macaluso, Middletown, New Jersey, redshirt freshman coming up with a stop. He's had 7 tackles today. I'll tell you, this defense for Stanford, you got to give them credit. They're active. They want 7 guys around the football every play. I got a feeling they've been pretty close to that on most of the plays tonight.
Well, there's 7 guys around the ball, and then the 2 safeties, Bo McNally and Austin Yancey, are the 8th and 9th guys that come flying up very aggressively from their safety positions.
On 2nd and 10, here comes the blitz again. They drop the screen off. Washington. Egbo coming up underneath to make the stop. They'll be short of the first down by about 2 yards. Fidel Egbo out of Mesquite, Texas.
And Stanford bringing a zone pressure, meaning they're bringing pressure, but the reason Egbo is flashing into the screen and making a nice play at the end, he's the defensive end that drops into a zone. If Egbo wasn't there, that had the opportunity to be huge.
He came a long way for that. 3rd down and 2. Washington alone in the backfield. Little bunch formation for USC. Avili back at the fullback spot. Booty play action again. The deep out caught. Davis has some running room. Inside the 30, still on his feet. Touchdown USC. The longest pass play of the year for this USC offense.
And the bunch formation to the right, but Fred Davis, 83, is to the left. On the play action, the defense loses Fred Davis, and it results in a big play and a timely big play if you're USC.
63 yards. The previous long was 35. The extra point by Beeler, who had 1 blocked already tonight, is good. Look at it again. Fred Davis, who has done yeoman's work this evening.
And he's running a corner route from the left side of that formation. There was a bunch of receivers, 3 receivers to the right side. The play action pass and the focus on the bunch receivers, the big tight end gets lost, and then the missed tackle right there. Remember, we're not talking about a wide receiver.
Yeah.
If you're going to tackle 6'4", 250, you got to bring some plastic.
John David Booty's reaction, it's almost like finally.
Yeah.
Do you get the sense, though, that last series by USC following the interception, they increased the tempo a little bit?
I think the sense of urgency goes up. When the sense of urgency goes up, typically your focus goes up, and that's what this USC offense needs to bring out on the field every play, every game.
Well, they've got 379 yards total offense, and right now Stanford, they're struggling. Only 62 yards total offense. That's Booty's longest touchdown pass of his career.
And you just actually summarized the season. USC's defense has shut down everybody, and USC's offense has been inconsistent. A big play here, a big play there, but not consistently getting into the end zone.
Now let's see if Stanford could do anything offensively. They have not been able to budge this USC defense. Stewart takes it on 1 hop, puts the head down, tries to get to the 25. He'll be stopped short of that mark. Well, the Aflac home versus away trivia challenge. The question, once again, that we gave you earlier. Aflac! Love the duck. Since the Cardinal beat the Trojans back in 2001, 35 consecutive home wins. What's the NCAA record? Is it Notre Dame, Miami, or Oklahoma? You can text 1, 2, or 3 to 837-787 for your chance to win.
Have you noticed lately that duck has kind of an attitude?
He's got an attitude over the last 5 years, to be honest with you.
I think he's The airtime is going to his head.
I think it is. Stanford minus yardage here in quarter number 3. Pritchard, look out, makes a nifty move. Still on his feet. Rifles the pass. Oh my, could have been picked off and should have been picked off. Intended for Sherman. Taylor Mays is the one that got the hand on it.
We talked about decision making when the play breaks down. That was a bad decision by a young, inexperienced quarterback. You can see 3 for 15. He hasn't done much on the day statistically, but typically he's made decent decisions. That was not one of them.
16-7, 2 minutes and 40 seconds left in the third. Jim Harbaugh looking for any kind of offense. USC 36-1 when their opponents have under 300 yards total offense. Stanford will be hard-pressed to get over 300 today. Pritchard, little quarterback draw. Defense closing quickly as he nears the 29-yard line.
I think that ball came out. I don't know if the line
one official's marking down.
Yeah, the line judge is marking it down. But when you consistently get behind and down in distance, you're asking for trouble against this Pete Carroll defense. I'll tell you that right now. That was a decent maintenance play to get in third and a little bit more reasonable. But you have to have ball security. That ball, yeah, absolutely. Pritchard was down, no question. But you're asking for trouble when you consistently get behind and down in distance against this athletic, fast, quick Trojan defense.
3rd down and 6. Jeremy Stewart goes in motion. SC brings 5. Pritchard reads it past him, more complete. And it'll be just over the first down line. Nice catch by Evan Moore, the big 6'7" wide receiver. Let's check in with Lewis Johnson.
Hey guys, just think back to Stanford's stop on 4th and 1 right before the half. They come back out, they get that turnover for a touchdown. They get another turnover in their favor. And the bench area down here, the underdog Stanford then had that new life. They believed that it was their game. That's what they were talking about. This is our game to take it. But that last turnover that they gave up was a backbreaker. Now they're trying to get it back. But these are those moments that Harbaugh is trying to get that culture change going here with this team.
They try the ground game with Stewart, the true freshman, bouncing off some tackles, and he'll get close to another first down. The freshman out of Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
With Stanford right now, the confidence is kind of a tenuous thing, and that's what Harbaugh is trying to instill in this team. This run will help a little bit. Stewart, very well blocked, very aggressive on the run, but it's this drive right here that is the answer to that big touchdown by Davis. That's what Harbaugh needs to see out of this team. Can we respond when there's a little adversity?
Now they're going to have to take a look at that. Nice job, though, by the true freshman. And it's a first down. Does that give that young man a little bit of confidence now? Maybe.
Yeah, when a young quarterback has a running game that makes some plays for him, absolutely that creates a little less pressure. But I don't believe that Stanford is going to move the ball consistently against this Trojan defense running the ball. Pritchard and his receivers are going to have to come up with some plays in the passing game.
Pritchard straight back, takes a hit as he lets the pass go. It's complete at the 40-yard line. Bradford with an outstanding reception. But you got to give a little tip of the cap to Mr. Pritchard. He had USC right in his face.
You're absolutely right. The pass had to go over Kerry Harris and under the safety Kevin Ellison coming off the hash. I cannot describe to you how difficult that is because Harris was continuing to get depth. So you have to get it over defender, but yet drive it enough to get it there.
That's good enough for another first down. 1st and 10, just over the 40-yard line. Kimball takes it down to about the 37-yard line. 1 minute, 10 seconds left in quarter number 3. A lot closer than most people in this country would have given this game credit for. We're at the Coliseum in Los Angeles with Kelly Stouffer, Lewis Johnson. I'm Ron Thulin. 16-7, the #1 team in the country, holding on to that 9-point advantage over the Stanford Cardinal.
And 2nd and about 9. You've across the 50-yard line. The red flag goes up for a quarterback, saying the defense typically gets hotter down here. More pressure. He can expect pressure as he gets closer in.
And here they come. Pritchard goes back. Hit as he lets it fly, looking for Bradford. Caught inside the 5-yard line. My goodness. Pritchard takes a hit again, and Bradford comes up with a spectacular catch of 36 yards.
The quarterback is willing to take hits, as you can see right there. If your receiver on the other end is going to go up for you and make a play, and Bradford does that. You want to play quarterback, you have to do that in order for the ball to be caught at the other end. Get up, young man, and go back to the huddle and call another play. Get it into the end zone.
Terrell Thomas beaten on this play. They call him the lockdown corner, and now Stanford knocking on the door. Kimball leans forward, may have gotten just short of the goal line. I tell you, Pritchard, you gotta take your hat off. He's taken a couple of whacks upside of the head today, and this young man has stood tall to the challenge as we end quarter number 3.
And anyone can stand in there when you have a lot of pressure, but it's throwing under pressure where a quarterback has to get it done. Pritchard is learning that right now. You grow up a lot when you can take a hit like that, but complete a ball like that as well.
That's the distance Stanford must go. Second down, goal to go. 16-9 is our score. It comes down to attitude for the Stanford offense. Kimball, right side, tries to go over the top. Touchdown, Stanford.
This is just an attitude play. Jim Harbaugh says, if we want it enough, I'll teach you how to win. This is how you do it. I formation, Kimball behind Marisek, the freshman fullback. Let's go hit somebody in the mouth, get it in the end zone, and wake people up here in the Coliseum.
The extra point is good. Jim Harbaugh looks up. He believed that they were going to compete tonight. He's been exactly right. 16-14 is our score. USC by 2. And the question is, USC, will you stay number 1 and number 2 in the polls? They dropped out of the number 1 spot, according to AP last week, even though they won at Washington by 3. LSU took over the top spot. But this is going to be quite a dilemma for those voting for both USA Today and the AP.
Yeah, I think there's little to no separation between LSU and USC. I don't think USC would drop if they win a close game here today, or obviously if they lose one they will, but if they win a close game, Cal isn't as close to USC and LSU as USC and LSU are to one another. But right there, that shot we just saw on the sideline, Stanford laughing, having a good time. That's a sign of players believing that they can do something that very few people that were watching this game or coming into this game thought that they could do. These guys are starting to believe.
Well, this is a team that started 2005 4-2. Since then, they've lost 16 of the last 21. Jim Harbaugh trying to infuse new life into this program. He says we've got to change the culture of the program, from coaches to players to fans to everybody. This young man is a perfectionist too. Short, Desmond Reed breaks the first line. We have about 4 flags thrown on that play.
Really, it was a short kick, and Reed tried to go across the field, which you don't advise on a short kick. You just have to plant and go north and south. It led to the penalties because his blockers didn't know that he was trying to go clear across the field, and it creates different angles, leads to these mistakes.
Block below the waist. Number 8 on the return. Half the distance to the goal. First down.
5th penalty against USC. $1,000 Aflac question, and the correct answer, by the way, is number 2. Home 92%, away 82%. So tune in to next Saturday's game on Versus to find out the winner of our contest. By the way, that Stanford offensive touchdown, the first since the first half of the Oregon game. Worst field position for USC. Booty flushed out of the pocket into the flat, incomplete.
What Stanford is doing right now defensively is they're playing a lot of too deep. They're playing zone underneath, and what that forces the offense to do is to be patient, take what the defense is giving them, and be efficient at driving the ball. Right now, USC is not proving that they can do that.
16-14 the score, 14:43 to play in the ball game. Osbury, the redshirt freshman, wide to the right. 3 wide receivers set. Stanford showing blitz again. Hazelton in motion. On the ground, Chauncey Washington goes over the 25-yard line to the 26. First down, USC.
Well, Ron, you talked about Stanford coming with pressure, and that pressure took them out of their run lanes. Watch the cutback right there. Washington does a nice job of reading the backside, and sometimes you can blitz against runs, but you have to be disciplined and stay in kind of gap protection. Stanford's defense didn't do it on that play.
Well, they like to pressure, but it's a first down for USC. Keeping it on the ground. They're showing some success going over that right side. McNally with his 8th stop at Washington. Here are the USC leaders through 3 quarters. Booty 2 interceptions in that 30. He had 4 coming into tonight. Chauncey Washington doing a nice job. But Davis, the big catch of 63 yards and the touchdown.
Remember when USC went to Lincoln a few weeks ago? They weren't very confident in their passing game. Turner was just returning from a shoulder injury and didn't have his timing down. So what did they do? USC went in and rushed for over 300 yards.
Yeah.
Right now, USC is acting like they want to do it right here.
This is the way to do it. Just keep banging away, and they keep going to their right side, the left side of that Stanford defensive line. Again, Chauncey Washington.
Ron, what Stanford has to do is they have to commit as many as needed to the line of scrimmage, 8, 9 guys, and force USC to make plays outside. Keep an eye on Davis, the tight end, and force Booty to do something with his wide receivers, Hazelton or Turner.
Well, they've got 3rd and short now. They'll go with 3 wide receivers to the left. Booty, the quick out to Turner. Has some running room, flips for the first down. Sanchez undercuts him, but it's another USC first down.
Well, 3rd and short, USC can basically do anything they want. Turner is outside running kind of a bubble screen. You can see the block outside, but Nick Sanchez does a great job of getting cut, getting to his feet, and still cutting Turner to the ground.
This may be a battle of attrition for Stanford because they have had problems in the second half, being outscored by a lot. They've been hanging tough so far. Can they continue the last 12:54? Straight ahead running again with Washington. Gets up to the 50. That'll set up a 2nd and short again. 2nd and about 2.
Well, keep an eye on Stanford's defensive front. What's beginning to happen in USC's zone running scheme is it's starting to open up to the backside. Stanford was doing a nice job early in the game, up until this point really, of being disciplined all across the front. They're getting blown past on the backside, and the running backs are finding that lane.
That's 2nd and short. This time the Stanford defense stacks him up right at the 50-yard line. Chauncey Washington again. Other scorers, we'll keep you posted on what's going on in college football tonight. Macaluso on the stop, by the way, the redshirt freshman, nearing double-digit tackles. No gain on the play.
The last time on 3rd and 1, USC spread it out and threw the quick one to Turner. We'll see if they do the same thing here, because there were other opportunities on that formation, 3rd down and 1, a few plays ago.
Time they try the right side again. Washington's second effort gets them the first down. Nice job dancing around trying to find the open. Let's go down to the field. Here's Lewis Johnson.
Hey, take a look down here in the Stanford bench area. This is Michael Brewer, the left guard, starting left guard for Stanford. A moment ago, he had ice on his ankle, was hobbling down the bench area. They took the ice off. They were simply trying to take the swelling away. The ankle was sprained, but he says, I got to go back in the game. So they're retaping him and getting him ready for the next series.
I tell you, in a game like this, Lewis, they want to stay in. Nobody
exactly. He doesn't want to come
out.
out. He says, I've got to go back in.
Fresh set of downs, though, for the Trojans. Closing in on 11 minutes to play in the ball game. Pass this time, Booty going right down the middle, wide open. Pass to the freshman Johnson. Touchdown, USC. Ronald Johnson's first career touchdown, 47 yards from John David Booty.
The running game sets the table for big plays, and that's what we're seeing out of USC. They've ran the ball successfully on this drive. Play action pass, go directly over the top for the big one.
The Stanford defense been susceptible to big plays. But this time, John David Booty atones for 2 interceptions. He hits Ronald Johnson for 47 yards, and USC's lead is back to 9. Of course, 1984, the site of the Summer Olympic Games right here in Los Angeles. The flame still burns. Right now, it's a 9-point advantage for the Trojans of USC, 23-14, just a shade over 11 minutes left to be played in the ball game. We had a question after that touchdown, whether or not he was down. We're going to take a look at it after the kick.
Yeah, that play comes as a byproduct of a very good running game, and then USC goes over the top with the play-action passing game. That is what Steve Sarkisian wants to do. They just haven't been consistently doing it.
Kimball and Stewart back. This will be Stewart. Straight up the middle to the outside, gets close to the 30, and that's where he's going to go down. Was it a touchdown by Ronald Johnson or not?
Well, let's take a look at the whole play. Again, successful zone running play, and then they play action pass over the top to Ronald Johnson. But right at the very end, where is the ball when he gets tackled? We'll see on this look. Keep an eye. It's not where his helmet or anything else is. Where's the ball? That ball's not in. That ball's not in. The reason it's significant is that remember how the first half ended. Stanford held on a 4th down and very short.
Now this will be a substitution penalty against Stanford.
Substitution infraction on the offense. 12 men on the field prior over 3 seconds. The 5-yard penalty, still first down.
They were running off the field, trying to get him off in time. Jim Harbaugh's squad gets penalized, push him back 5. Only down by 9, though.
You know, we take that play, whether it was a touchdown or not, and the replay officials have the same angles we just saw, and I believe there was evidence to show that that ball didn't go in.
It's a replayable play. Here is Richard Sherman. This is a young man they wanted more out of. Has a 70-yard reception already this year. 2 100-yard games in 2007. They call him their top option, but he has been kind of quiet tonight.
Yeah, and if he's your top option, you have to get him the ball on plays just like that. If the defense is taking your top option away, you have to, as an offensive team, create ways to get it to your playmakers.
Only picked up a couple. 2nd down and 8. Kimball gets up to the 35-yard line. 3rd down and 5. Keith Rivers with only his 2nd stop of the evening.
You know, go ahead.
No.
We saw Stanford answer last time after a big play, and that was important. And so now this 3rd and about 5 yards, they need to answer once again. Can this young quarterback, and Tavita Pritchard, orchestrate another drive to get in the end zone?
Only 4 of 12 this evening. Bradford and Moore wide to the left. 4 wide receivers out for Stanford. Kimball empties the backfield. USC rushes just 3. still putting pressure on Pritchard. Throws across his body to Bradford. Caught over the 50, down to the 48-yard line. Third incredible catch for Bradford tonight.
Bradford is one of the best catching wide receivers that I've seen this year. This isn't easy. It's going to be a little bit behind him with traffic in front of him, but you focus on the end of the football and you squeeze it when it gets there, and Bradford is absolutely outstanding at that.
Just over a week ago, his father, Mark Sr., passed away. Played with a heavy heart last week. And he is having an outstanding game tonight, and his dad is probably smiling down on him. Stewart, right side, has a hole. Over the 40, close to the 35-yard line for the true freshman. Gary Harris making the stop. Here's a young man that averaged almost 8 yards a carry last year in high school.
And watch who's out in front of Stewart. It's Marinelli, number 63, the offensive line, but it's also number 4, Bradford. Bradford's a complete player. We've seen that he can catch the football, but in the college game today, receivers have to be willing to block, and Bradford did an outstanding job on that play.
Looking for Bradford left side. Now Pritchard's got to run. Gets over the line of scrimmage. Scampers out of bounds at the 30-yard line. Pickup of about 6 on the play. That'll bring up second and about 4. Good job, though, and good recognition. And instead of trying to force something, he was locked down to Bradford and look. He saw he wasn't open. He just took off.
Yeah, and I talked to you about that before the game. With the young quarterback, he can generally run the offense when the look is clean for him. But where he needs to make good decisions is when the play breaks down, and then what goes through his mind.
Stewart on second and 4. Nothing doing right side. Let's try the left side. Kyle Moore on the stop. They'll be short of the first down, but it'll bring up third and short.
You know,
we'll call it 2.
The freshman Jeremy Stewart has come into the game and given the Stanford offense a nice boost. Anthony Kimball is really has most of the carries this year, but Stewart has been a nice change of pace.
4 carries, 23 yards for Stewart. Kimball's got 15 carries for 30 yards. Now Bradford wide to the left on third and short. Stewart alone in the backfield. And I think we're going to have a timeout call. Nope.
I think they got it.
Too much time.
I think they got it called before.
Yeah.
It appears to me.
That's. I thought I saw him calling timeout. Wasn't sure they're going to get it in.
Well, there isn't a flag on the play
Timeout.
either.
Stanford.
Yeah.
That's their first charge timeout.
No, they picked up the flag. So Jim Harbaugh and company, 8 minutes and a second to play. They trail by just 9. Welcome to Versus coverage of college football, and we've got a dandy going on. Number 1 USC led 9-0 at halftime. They still have a 9-point advantage at 23-14, but USC moving the football. Third down and 2. This is the 7th play of this drive for the Cardinal. The freshman banging forward. The official looks like he'll move it or mark it short. Rivers stacking them up. And it appears they'll be about a half a yard short. Stewart did everything he possibly could, but that's an immovable force there, that USC defense.
Well, Jim Harbaugh has a decision to make. A field goal moves you up to within a touchdown, and that's exactly what he's going to do. You can't lose your mind as a head coach, even though you're playing the #1 team in the nation tough. You still have to do the things you would normally do, which means kick a field goal and get within 1 score.
Belch will have a 45-yarder. He's only 1 of 4 from this distance this year. 1 of 5 for his career. Ball's down, penalty flag. Hold on. It may be offside against USC. If it is, that'll be a first down. The kick was wide left. Didn't make any difference. Yeah, it's going to be against the Trojans.
Wow. You talk about a penalty that Pete Carroll will absolutely go off on, is that type of penalty.
Offsides on the defense, number 28. 5-yard penalty results in a first down.
Doesn't make any difference what that field goal did. It's a first down now for the Cardinal.
And I don't think it was a matter of lining up in the neutral zone. It was a matter of trying to time the snap to block the field goal, and it just absolutely was uncalled for. You give the offense another roll of the dice, but in Stanford's case, it represents hope that they can still win this football game.
We got to correct ourselves. We're saying that the field goal was good by Belch if there was not a penalty. This is even better for him though. I formation with Kimball. Dot in the I. Penalty flag's thrown again as Kimball gets down to the 20. Another offside call probably against USC.
And I believe, yeah, Cedric Ellis, number 49, is going to be offsides. And Cedric is a quick, fast defensive tackle, and those defensive tackles get used to reading the snap count and trying to gain an advantage by jumping.
Offsides on the defense, number 75, 5-yard penalty, remains first down.
16 penalties last week, 7 penalties this evening.
And it was actually the other defensive tackle, Moyala, that time, the other side. Those guys are reading the snap count and trying to gain an advantage, get a jump, which is exactly what the defensive line likes to do late in the game when they get in a rhythm of hearing that snap count.
They are last in the Pac-10 in penalties, USC, 117th in the country. On first down, Pritchard's got the first down. Ben Ladner, the tight end, leans forward down to the 11-yard line. Rivers holding on for dear life.
Great ball handling by the young quarterback, Tavita Pritchard. Had the USC defense fooled. Stick it in, pull it out. The cameraman was a little fooled a little bit as well, but number 45, Ladner, goes to the flat. Very good execution by a young quarterback. Ball handling at the quarterback position is vital, but it's kind of a lost art, especially for the young guys.
First down and 10. Kimball down to the 10-yard line. Pickup of 1 on the play. Clock inside of 6:25 to play.
You know, you just get the feeling, Ron, that down here, Jim Harbaugh calling the plays can use Pritchard's athleticism. You know, just like he did on the play-action pass, the boot, he can do it again in situations like this. As the field condenses, it's as wide as it is, but it's no longer as long as it is out in the middle of the field.
Did they throw the fade to Evan Moore? No. The quick look in, incomplete. Pass intended for Jim Dre, the tight end. You'd think that when you have a guy like Evan Moore at 6'7", going up against what appeared to be one of the corners that gave away about 6 or 7 inches, you'd want to go to him.
Yeah, the big tight end coming in on the angle route, acting like he's going outside, rolling back inside is number 83, Jim Dre. You just got to come up with that ball.
Yeah.
You're a tight end, you know you catch the ball over the middle, it means traffic. You have to catch the ball in traffic as a tight end.
Drive was kept alive by an offsides call against USC. Third down, 9 to go. They need to get to the 1-yard line for a first. They try the right side. This defense, you're not going to stretch them out too far. Ellison just closes quickly on Kimball. Decision time again, and this time they're going to go for the field goal again.
Yeah, and Kimball got outside, but he needed to plant his foot and get upfield. That play was strung out to the outside, but there was a running lane inside because guys were being cut to the ground by that Stanford offensive line.
26-yard attempt for Derek Belch, the senior from San Diego, California. Adevezio, the holder. And he splits the uprights. The #1 team in the country now clinging to just a 6-point lead over the Stanford Cardinal. 5:43 to play. A sophomore, a starting quarterback for USC, his first start for Stanford, his first start in the college game against the #1 team in the country. And he's allowed his team to pull within a 23-17 margin. In case you just joined us, USC led 9-0 at halftime, 16-7 at the end of 3. 10 points scored here in quarter number 4 by Stanford. That is why we were at 23-17. And this is going to be a penalty. This goes out of bounds. You move them back 5 yards. That's his first kick out of bounds this year for Derek Belch.
I think USC takes the ball on the 35-yard line and says, offense, go do something tonight. We can't count on the defense forever. And Booty and company need to prove that they can get it done in this situation. And Booty talked to us about that yesterday. He talked about the difference with him is he's been in tight spots now. He's had to run 2 minutes when it counted. Well, this counts, and he needs to execute.
The receiving team has elected to take the ball at the 35-yard line. First down.
We saw that drive covered 61 yards for Stanford. They only had 74 yards at halftime. But now the onus is on the defense of Stanford. They have given up 464 yards in this football game. But Pete Carroll's squad, courtesy of big plays, they haven't really capitalized on a lot of those yards.
Yeah, look for USC to want to run the football again and force Stanford to come up and bait them into committing guys to the line of scrimmage and try to go over the top for a big play once again.
And the Stanford defense stacking up the run. Quentin Snyder, he has been in a lot of tackles tonight, all around the action. 6 tackles this evening. Clock goes inside of 5:30 to play.
Well, Snyder has shown up, and Maynor is that guy that's more athletic, and he tends to be the high motor guy, but Snyder is no pushover. He's been in on a lot of plays this evening.
USC probably content to grind things out. Patrick Turner comes wide to the near side. And he goes in motion. Looking for Turner. Has Turner. Still on his feet. Takes a hit as he crosses the 40 up to the 42-yard line. A pickup of 7 on the play.
And Ron, that motion that Turner was in right there is a very nice and well-designed play, because if it's man-to-man, Turner continues to go across the field. If it's zone, he sets down in that void with that big body, and Booty finds him and gets into a third and very manageable situation.
Turner with 8 receptions this evening. Came in with 16 on the year. We've got a timeout. And USC will call it, and Pete Carroll will run down and give a talk to his quarterback. 4 minutes and 31 seconds left to be played. A 6-point advantage for the #1 team in the country. Booty has already thrown an interception that was returned for a touchdown by Stanford. And I'm sure they want to just try to keep things pretty simple right about now, Kelly.
Yeah, and I think Stanford is out to prevent them from doing that. I think Stanford's going to commit everybody to the line of scrimmage, and maybe a couple cheerleaders, the mascot that's running around here, and they're going to force Booty to make plays with those receivers. Now, they may make a big play, but you cannot get beat right here by allowing Stanford to hang on to the football.
Now let's take a look at the top 10. USC, according to USA Today, #1. LSU playing tonight. Cal idle today. LSU is losing, we understand, in their ball game. Ohio State, Wisconsin already a loser today. And of course, Florida playing at LSU. Kentucky has already lost. South Florida won a squeaker today, and Oklahoma a big win over Texas.
Yeah, Oklahoma might find themselves going right back up about as fast as they dropped last week.
Well, here we go. 3rd down and 3 for USC. They fake the pitch. Booty looking for Turner's. Got him in the flat. Got the first down as he crosses the 45. They'll mark him out at the 46. Nick Sanchez coming up to make the stop. Once again, Turner in motion. Turner just keeps moving.
And the fake boot to one way, and then here comes Turner back across the formation to the flat. Nick Sanchez, #2, did not do a very good job of reading that route. He had help deep. Austin Yancey was deep and had the deep receiver. Sanchez has to get quicker out of his zone and go blow that play up.
9 receptions for Turner tonight. Inside of 4.5 to play. Stanford showing blitz. Here they come. Booty hit. Still on his feet. Looking. Now he's got to scramble. They're going to pull him back down at the 37-yard line. Clinton Snyder, the motor man again. He's the guy that came up with the first hit.
And the pressure without bringing extra guys, and I think it might be Snyder that ends up making the second hit as well. When Jim Harbaugh sells this program, he talks about consistent effort. Well, that epitomizes it right there. You get pressure early, and the quarterback bounces off. You get your hind end off the field, and you go make a play that your team desperately needs. Outstanding by that young man, Snyder.
That brings up a second in the bundle. Turner in motion, right side. Booty looks for that little slip screen. They got it, but Stanford covers it up well. Desmond Reed had the reception, but he went absolutely nowhere quickly.
Because of Pat Maynor, we just mentioned him, and we haven't heard a lot of him because his compadre Clinton Snyder's been everywhere. Well, Snyder got the pressure on the quarterback. Booty throws the screen. Pat Maynor absolutely fought off the block and got that screen before it could get going.
There's plenty of time left, 3:13. Third down and 23. This is the biggest play for the Stanford defense this year. They got everybody up on the line. They back off and rush 5. Here's the pressure on Booty. Pass. Incomplete. Intercepted at the 38-yard line by Osai. Knocked down at the 45-yard line. The third interception by John David Booty tonight.
Stanford brought pressure, but they played zone behind it, called a fire zone. And Turner was open in that void in the middle of the field, and John David Booty just airmailed it. Did a nice job of picking it up front. Booty does the right thing by moving up in the pocket, but that subtle movement with that edge pressure that Booty had to avoid when the quarterback's feet is moving, particularly forward. If you're not disciplined, you tend to throw it high, and Booty did on that play.
2 minutes and 50 seconds to go. They are on the 45-yard line of USC, trailing by 6. Pritchard looking deep, still looking deep. Going for the home run ball, and it's going to be incomplete, intended for Richard Sherman in the end zone. Taylor Mays was step for step. Pritchard can crack a little smile.
Yeah, because Pritchard knows he got away with one, quite frankly. That was 2 receivers deep, and both of them were covered. They're actually triple covered. There were 3 defenders waiting for that jump ball. Pritchard had an opportunity to pick up a few yards by just running it up the field and then getting out of bounds, and he elected to go for the home run.
Bradford to the near side, Moore to the far side. On 2nd and 10, USC rushes 3 and they flush him. Pritchard rifles the pass. That should be pass interference, and there's the flag. Sherman got hit before the ball got to him by Kevin Ellison.
Well, Ron, you were all over it, and you're exactly right. Ellison went through the body to the football, and he just arrived a little early. Again, Pritchard making a play with his feet as the defense starts to come up. He throws the ball to Sherman. That wasn't a great look at the contact. You could see that he ran into him, but he clearly, from what we saw, arrived before that ball got there.
This will be the 8th penalty on the Trojans tonight.
Pass interference on the defense, number 4. 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Well, Ron, it's when a quarterback can move around, he makes plays in a lot of different ways. The defense, and you can see right there, he arrived early. You can see it from the side, probably was the best angle. But remember, the defense is seeing the quarterback come out of the pocket. They're in no man's land. They have to decide whether they become run defenders on the quarterback or still defend the pass.
30-yard line. USC's defense just tries to corral Jeremy Stewart. He was lucky to get past the line of scrimmage and then a couple. I wasn't so sure he was looking to throw that football.
That is exactly right. This was going to be a running back pass, and it's a great decision. Jeremy Stewart is a freshman. That's like a quarterback making the right decision. There was nothing there, and he did the right thing by pulling it down and not throwing it up for grabs.
Well, now he is down on the field.
Yeah, he took a shot in the back right at the end of that play. He was stumbling and trying to catch his balance to try to get more yards, and he absolutely got hammered.
And he is down. Trainers are going to look at him. We've got 2:18 left to play in the ball game. Only a 6-point lead for USC over Stanford. Jim Harbaugh and company, that's what they've got to work with. We'll be back. Everybody on their feet at the Coliseum. Jeremy Stewart came off under his own power. 2nd and 6 for the Cardinal. Here comes the blitz. Pritchard steps up, gets away from it. Has some running room close to the first down. Do they mark it? Yes, he's got it inside the 20 with 2 minutes and 7 seconds left.
How about the young quarterback making a play? Running with the football as a quarterback generally represents the right decision. Nothing downfield, and Pritchard tucks the ball, and that's an aspect of the game that TC Ostrander really doesn't have, and we've seen it out of Pritchard time and time again today.
A little pump fake throws Kyle Moore for just a second. 1st and 10 from the 19. Trojans rush 3. Pritchard throws, pass incomplete. Carroll Thomas covering Bradford. 2 minutes and 2 seconds.
Carroll Thomas doing a nice job of driving on that out route to Bradford, and unlike Kevin Ellison, Thomas times it exactly right.
Both teams 2 timeouts left. Evan Moore going one-on-one with Kerry Harris, the cornerback. Moore's got 7 inches on him. Pritchard looking, penalty flag is thrown, he tucks it, goes out of bounds at the 15-yard line. The way that penalty flag was thrown, it's going to probably go against Stanford, and it will.
Yeah, holding, and it's going to be second and extremely long. Jim Harbaugh is going to have to loosen it up a little bit and see if his young quarterback can hook up for a big play. And remember, Mark Bradford has shown a propensity to go up and make a play on the ball in the air.
Holding. 63 on the offense. 10-yard penalty. Remains second down.
And here's Jim Harbaugh's reaction. Watch this. I don't think he liked it.
Yeah, he was making the decision for Pritchard, saying run it, run it, run it. And he obviously did not agree with how late that flag came out. Just because it comes out late doesn't mean it wasn't warranted.
Second down and 20 with 1:55. Look out from the left side. Pritchard gets hit as he throws. Pass is incomplete, intended for Evan Moore. Ellison was the closest defender, but again, Pritchard taking a knock.
It's interesting to see USC's defense now having to try to pick and choose when they bring pressure. Early in the game, they just kind of turned it loose and were getting after Stanford on a lot of the third down situations or long yardage passing downs. Now, they're a little bit more cautious because Pritchard has shown that he can make some plays.
3rd down and 20. They bring the house. Pritchard steps up, throws, looking for more. Is it a completion? No, stepped out of bounds. They went to the guy with the biggest height. Let's look at this again.
Called him catching it out of bounds, but then a quick flag came out, and it was McCurtis, the defensive back over there, may have said something to the official. We'll see what happened.
Illegal touch.
Which generally means that he was covered up and couldn't go out. Oh, he's out of bounds. There it is. Yeah. His left foot is out of bounds.
And he came back
now
in.
He can't be the guy that touches the ball.
The player that was first to contact the ball went out of bounds prior to touching the ball. The penalty is a loss of down.
You know, when that flag came out, I saw McCurtis had just said something to the official. Yeah. And then the flag came out. I thought, oh, young man, I hope you didn't say the wrong thing. But you can see clearly there's some pushing down the field, which happens, and then that left foot is clearly out of bounds. The official is absolutely right on.
But he did make the catch. Yeah. That's what's funny. Well, this is it, ladies and gentlemen. 4th down and 20. Pritchard steps up, throws over the middle. Pass is caught right at the first down line. Sherman on the reception, and one official has it inside the 10, and that will be a first down.
Yes, if they go with this near line judge on this side, it's going to be a first down.
Yeah. The officials came running in from both sides. What a catch, though, by Richard Sherman, just a sophomore.
Well, what a catch by the sophomore, and what a throw by the sophomore on the other end. You know you're going to get popped. Kevin Ellison, impeccable timing to try to blow up that play. The in route to Sherman, there it is, catch it in traffic. And this is something that can be reviewed as well. It's a reviewable spot of the football.
And they're saying it is a first down. So it'll be 1st and goal for Stanford, 1 minute and 39 seconds away from upsetting the #1 team in the country.
Wow. It's passes like that where the young quarterback could grow up, and it's going to be reviewed further, it appears, right here.
I think it is.
And this is something that is under the guidelines of the review booth to review this spot.
USC is challenged in the ruling on the field regarding the spot.
Very, very good decision, obviously, by Pete Carroll.
Yeah.
You have a challenge, you don't get to take it into the locker room and use it next week. Perfect place to use it when the spot isn't right now in Pete Carroll's favor.
Now we'll see if we can see it. Now, once again, it has to be absolutely clear.
Yeah, and the thing that's going to be hard to dispute is, you know, the angles, and it's not where he lands, it's where he catches the ball in his forward progression right there. The forward progress.
Well, he's clearly inside the 10, down to the 9-yard line.
Yeah, that looked like it was down closer to the 9. I think it's a good call, and the main thing is there is an indisputable video evidence to reverse anything.
This is going to be tough, as he was coming back to the football. We'll take a look at it again from the side. He's starting to come back to the football right there. Well, I'll tell you what.
Well, typically,
with his back to us, we can't see exactly.
Well, typically, if we're having a hard time in the replay booth looking at the same angles that you're seeing at home, it has to be indisputable to reverse the call on the field, and that's the important thing. Now, this could be reviewed either way if it was the spot in USC's favor.
Right.
Then Harbaugh could have used the challenge for the same purpose, trying to gain the first down.
If they spot it differently, it'll be the end of Stanford's hopes for the upset. One more look again. I think it's probably a pretty good spot, to be honest. We'll have to wait.
Yeah, the line to gain for the first down was a little bit short
of the 10.
of the 9-yard line. So I think he had that according to what we saw on the screen. I'm sticking with that.
You're sticking with it.
Get off
until
the fence.
tomorrow.
Get off the fence, partner. What are you saying?
I'm going to say it's a good spot.
I think the officials were right on it. And remember, the officials have the perfect view.
After review, the ruling on the field stands. First down.
Oh, my. 1:39 to play. Jim Harbaugh in Stanford. Less than 10 yards away from pay dirt for the tie. The extra point would give them the lead. Here we go. Now, USC is charged with a timeout.
For losing that challenge right there, but Stanford still gets to.
So they are down to one timeout.
Stanford still gets to benefit from the timeout. USC just wanted to line up and say, let's play, but it's still a legitimate timeout.
We've already had Appalachian State with the major upset.
Jumps right over top of it, without a doubt.
I think so too.
No question. The thing about Appalachian State is they had won 2 titles at the next level down. Those young men knew how to win going into Ann Arbor. Absolutely. Harbaugh is still teaching Stanford how to win. And so this would be absolutely enormous. If you go into point spreads and all of that, I could care less. But Stanford is learning what it takes to win on the field. This would be, I think, a giant leap above what we saw in Ann Arbor early in the year.
Remember, this is the Jim Harbaugh that, as quarterback of Michigan, they got whacked by Minnesota, and he guaranteed a victory over Ohio State the following week. Everybody thought he was crazy. Bo Schembechler said he's the cockiest quarterback he ever had. They came back and they beat Ohio State. He had that same feeling coming into this week. 1st and goal from the 9. Pritchard keeps it. Great ball fake. Makes his way down to the 5.
And with 2 timeouts left, the running game for Stanford is still in play as we near a minute 20 left in this game. So everything is on the table. They don't have to throw the ball right here.
The last team to beat USC here was Stanford. 35 wins later, Stanford's trying to do it again to them. 2nd and goal from the 5. Pritchard looks into the end zone. Pass, no, out of the end zone. They went to Evan Moore, trying to use his height again.
Not a bad design, just a little late. The quarterback has to throw the ball before the receiver is open. You know the receiver, Evan Moore, you're throwing to is 6'7", 235 pounds. The ball has to come up quicker. Harbaugh knows that that was close, but his quarterback was just a little bit too late.
58 seconds left. 3rd down and goal from the 5. Moore wide to the left. Bradford to the right. Looking for more on the fade. Throw it up for grabs. Knocked away at the last second by Terrell Thomas. Outstanding defensive play.
Terrell Thomas is USC's true lockdown corner. If I'm going one-on-one, even though my receiver, Evan Moore, is 6'7", I go to the other side and match him up against Kerry Harris, who doesn't have near the cover ability that Terrell Thomas does.
Jim Harbaugh is going to use one of his final 2 timeouts. 54 seconds left. That's what we were calling for a couple of plays ago. Use Evan Moore on the fade. He's been used in the past by previous coaching staffs on that same play. But like you said, you put him on their lockdown corner, who's arguably their best cover guy.
Well, the near miss, the play before to Evan Moore was also a fade. It was just inside. And Pritchard was a little bit late getting rid of that football, so it took Evan Moore out of the end zone. Now, on 4th down with Pritchard's athletic ability, I say you have to get him out of the pocket and let him make a play. Kind of a run-pass option, probably overload one side of the field and let him roll into it, and USC's going to do everything in their power to prevent that.
Terrell Thomas gave an impassioned speech prior to the on the sideline, urging his teammates on, but it comes down to this one play. 4th and goal from the 5 for Stanford.
And the overload is to this side down below. Look for Pritchard to roll this way. USC's going to burn their last time out.
Well, they overloaded with Evan Moore and Bradford on the right side. You think this is exciting? Wait till next week on Versus 7 o'clock Eastern. Number 3 Cal takes on Mike Riley and Oregon State. First, you get to see the big 3 of Jackson, Forsett, and Longshore for the Bears. They look to stay on top of the Pac-10 and in line for a national title versus college football next week, 7 o'clock Eastern, right here on Versus. This will throw the Pac-10 race if Stanford could pull off the upset. And that's a huge if this young man, just a sophomore, Tavita Pritchard from Tacoma, Washington, can pull off his upset. The Pac-10 race is then up for grabs.
Well, Tavita has proven himself to be the real deal regardless. Remember this, 92,000 people playing on the road against the best, probably at least the most talented defense in all the land. He's held out very well, but they're overloaded to the bottom side, Stanford is. Generally, the quarterback will roll this way and have multiple options with those 3 receivers getting in various places in the end zone.
Sherman, Whalen, and Moore, and now we've got a penalty flag.
Wow.
Oh, my. I don't understand this.
Substitution infraction on the offense, 12 men on the field.
Wow.
5-yard penalty, Maine's 4th down.
Well, just a miscommunication, and Jim Dre, the tight end 83, is the one coming off, and it just does not look like he was supposed to be in there. However, check out this point, Ron, see if you agree with it. They move him back a little bit, but there's more room for the fade if you want to go up top to a 6-7 Evan Moore.
I've seen him do it before, and that's what we were thinking. And he will come to the near side.
He's the middle receiver in the trips down to the bottom.
4th and goal from the 10. Pritchard, straight drop, goes to the fade to the other side. Bradford, touchdown USC! Stanford, touchdown Stanford, my goodness!
And Jim Harbaugh, if you're asking, is going to go for the tie right here. He's holding up. Obviously, they're tied right now. He's going to go for the extra point, but
you got to.
Absolutely bedlam on the sideline, and guys were kind of losing contact with where they should be. Guys were running out on the field. The game isn't over. We have 49 seconds with this thing tied up.
They're reviewing the play on the field. I got so excited, I got the teams messed up.
Well, remember the catches that Bradford has had early in the game. He is a great catcher of the football, and not every wide receiver is.
Oh,
that is absolutely a catch.
Yeah.
Now, the thing is, he created some room by pushing off at the end, but that's not reviewable. That's just part of it, and I like the fact that the officials let the players on the field decide the game, and that's a great example of it because that could have been called pushing off Bradford against number 9 McCurtis. But we have an extra point to kick on. It's 23-all. USC has the ability up front to get pressure and get hands up, and you have a kicker that isn't exactly
after review.
History.
The ruling on the field is confirmed. Touchdown.
Pritchard on that drive, 2 for 6, 30 yards. What a great pressure throw, though. He also rushed a couple of times for 11 yards.
Yeah, 2 for 6 doesn't sound great.
This is it.
But it was when the 2 came, and they came in extremely difficult situations.
Ottavecchio will hold. Belch for the extra point. He has not missed this year or for his career. Stanford has taken the lead. With 49 seconds left, USC is out of timeouts. Back to the touchdown again. Pritchard to Bradford.
And we thought the fade to the right, and obviously USC did. And Bradford is teamed up against McCurtis. He's really the backup corner out at that side. Terrell Thomas, the best cover guys on the opposite side, but Bradford absolutely goes up and snatches it, and the young man gets to celebrate. One of the keys to the day was Pritchard having a special day. Well, he's on the verge of having a very special day. And Jim Harbaugh has been in that situation. He's been the guy that had to learn how to win and with a little less talent than the prototypical quarterback. And now he has to teach an entire program how to win with maybe a little less talent. And it's already well on its way.
As a collegian, he upset the #1 team in the country in the Orange Bowl, Miami. He's got a shot at having his team do it, led by a sophomore making his first collegiate start. But we still have an eternity.
And you don't want to kick this ball out of bounds like happened last time, and I'm not so sure you want to kick it deep and give USC speed a chance at a huge play.
Belch is going to drill this one. This will be about 3 yards deep. USC is going to bring it out. Johnson takes a big wallop. Penalty flag is thrown.
Yeah, you can add 15 onto this because it's going to be a face mask of the 15-yard variety, but great field position nonetheless.
I think the official just threw somebody out on the sideline. Did you hear him say, get out?
Just get out of our little meeting here, I think. At least we hope that no one got kicked out at this late stage.
Well, you're right. It is the face mask. Only 4 seconds went off the clock.
Oh, this was the head jerking variety right here. And just a Stanford player, number 45.
Personal foul on the defense during the return. Yard penalty, first down.
Ladner, the backup tight end, just aggressive trying to make a play, and he just gets a little high and gets to the face mask.
John David Booty, 45 seconds left. No timeouts for USC. Reed alone in the backfield. Pressure. Booty's going to be dropped. Inside the 35 to the 34-yard line again. Clinton Snyder and Egbo combined for the sack.
No timeout, so Booty has to try to kill this to try to get to third down and preserve the clock.
4 sacks for this Stanford defense. USC had only allowed 3 coming into this game.
Egbo and number 20, Clinton Snyder, says, let's go meet at the quarterback and make history right here, and that's exactly what they do.
This will be the biggest upset in college football this year. Hazleton wide to the right. 27 seconds left. They rush 4. Pressure's on. Booty looks for Turner, off his hands, incomplete.
That was
Fourth drop.
That was the right place to go, just the wrong pass. That needs to be down just a little bit. Even Turner, who is 6'5", couldn't go upstairs and get that one.
How about that? September 29, 2001, the last time the Trojans lost at home, and it was to the same Stanford Cardinal team.
35 home wins later, by the way.
Yep. Turner to the near side. 23 seconds left. 4th down and 16. They only rush 3. Booty's got time. Hit as he throws, and it's going to be picked off. This one's in the books. Bo McNally just takes a knee at the 48-yard line. Stanford is going to upset the #1 team in the country.
Omajoya, number 43, gets around the edge and gets pressure on Booty right there. Not a good block by the running back, Reed, and it results in the errant throw at the other end. But man, alive, does it get any bigger than this?
4 interceptions for John David Booty tonight, matching what he has done the whole year. Career high interceptions. And Stanford, all they've got to do is take a knee, and this is going to be the biggest upset in college football in 2007. The mighty Trojans of USC have fallen. First loss at home since 2001. National title hopes are dimmed for Pete Carroll. Unaccustomed to losing, only his 13th loss as head coach of USC.
This is why the young men actually have to play the game on the field. It's not point spreads, and it's not what people say in the media. Young men get a chance to go out and prove what they can do, and we see it right here tonight.
A dejected Trojan team heads to the locker room. Still have a lot to play for, but this one's going to sting for a long time. Jim Harbaugh pulls off the improbable. Took over a team that was horrendous last year, winning only 1 game. And the Stanford faithful are celebrating tonight. Here's Lewis Johnson on the field.
All right, thanks so much, Coach. Jim? No, come on. No, Jim, you got to stay here. He wants me to talk to the quarterback because it's his moment. Tavita, come on over here. Tavita, can you just talk about how you were able to come out here and upset the #1 team in the nation? What does this mean to you?
First of all, I want to say this is for my dad 100%. He couldn't make it today. He was doing a wedding, and this is all for him, and this is for the glory of God right here. This is for the #1 man upstairs.
Take us back to the moment where you knew you'd have to come in and start for TC Ostrander, your first big start against the #1 team in the nation. How did you deal with preparation?
Oh, man, you know, it was a heck of a week. We prepared ourselves. We knew we had to focus on what we were going to do. And just come in here and do what we did best. You know, don't focus on them, focus on us, and I think we did that.
And it seems to me that the moment came down to that 4th and goal where you threw the touchdown in the back end zone. Take us back to that moment, what it meant to see that play finish the way it did.
Well, you know, I mean, I just love to play this game like I told you before the game. And when I saw him catch that, you know, Mark Bradford's obviously a great receiver. The line did great all night. I knew we had it. I knew in the bottom of my heart we were going to get that, and we did.
You've made history. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Ron?
5 takeaways in the second half for that Stanford defense. 4 interceptions thrown by John David Booty. And the #1 team in the country has lost to Stanford 24-23. We'll come back to wrap it up after this.
Pac-10 football on Versus is brought to you by Keystone Light. You can't always be smooth, but your beer should be. And by Under Armour, the advantage is undeniable.
Another top team has fallen. This has been an incredible year in college football. Jim Harbaugh's squad pulling off the upset. Kelly, you got to put this in perspective for this whole, not only the national title picture, but also for USC.
Well, USC obviously has some issues offensively that gave Pritchard and that Stanford team as a whole hope that they could get something done special today. They had opportunities, USC did in the first half, to take that hope away. The longer Stanford hung around, the more they were going to start to believe what their head coach has been telling them since spring ball last year through training camp and through the first part of this season. Guys, we can do this. I've done it. You have to believe in me, and that's absolutely what they did tonight.
Lewis Johnson with Jim Harbaugh.
Hey, Jim, what does it mean for you to have upset the #1 team in the nation?
It's the greatest feeling I think I've ever felt, and I feel it for my players. I just love them. We're so close right now. Great win for the program.
How about Tavita Pritchard coming in with his first start? How did you help him manage the game and the way he played and managed all the tough defense and just the moment?
Just saw something in his eyes early in the week, just the way he carried himself. He didn't back down one bit. He's a true warrior. We found one right there.
Hey, you have a team that was 1-11 last year. You've been talking about a culture change. What does a win like this do to help you change the culture at Stanford?
That's huge. That's huge. We still got 7 to go. We're going to go enjoy this one, though.
Okay.
I love it. It's all credit goes to the players. Unbelievable by them.
All right, Jim. You looked as though you played a little bit before, huh?
Not tonight.
All right.
Well, once again, the final score, Stanford over USC, the #1 team in the country, 24-23. Next Saturday on Versus, Oregon State versus #3 Cal. That'll get underway at 7 o'clock Eastern, 4 o'clock Pacific, right here on Versus. Coming up next, PBR Total Bowl. For Kelly Stoffer, Lewis Johnson, and our entire Versus crew, I'm Ron Thulin. Thanks so much for watching. Have a good evening, everybody.